That makes it so easy for me now.
It slipped.
Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
I'm Mike.
I'm Dan.
And this is the Board Game Rundown. Today we are going to do our top 10 underrated games.
Yeah.
We are probably going to bring you 40 total games. No crossover. They'll all be different.
Right.
There'll be a little crossover. A little bit.
I'm actually interested because we'll get to this in a second. I don't think I'm going to have very many crossovers.
But
Yeah.
first, make sure you like, subscribe, ring the bell, do all the YouTube things. Find us on Discord. Find us on Facebook. Find us on all the medias. We're out there.
Dan, did you hear what Bob just said?
No, but really quick before you finish, make sure you like us, subscribe.
Perfect.
As you may know, we did an overhyped, overrated video.
That barely got any attention.
Yeah.
No, I
It
mean,
probably is actually our most overhyped video,
It
video of all time.
for a
And
channel
nobody will
that's
watch this one.
been
I
out-
wasn't on it.
For a channel that's been out for 2 years and has done like 500 videos, one video of overhyped, overrated, and people said all we do is bash on
10,400
games.
10,432.
We just bash on games. That's
Yeah, all we do is
That's a-
trash
one
games.
out of 500 videos was bashing on games.
And we
So
probably have like 4 reviews where one of us hated the game.
Right. It's actually very rare,
So,
but.
Yeah.
Let's bring up some hidden gems.
Yeah.
Some games you haven't played
And you know,
Or if you did, you rated
or
it
you
too
haven't
low.
heard of.
and just to stay consistent, this video is going to be called Underrated, Underhyped Games, even if that doesn't really come up on our list. we'll see.
But so what was the rule? We have
Yeah,
one rule.
one rule.
We discussed this a little bit. There was a little back and forth.
Platoon.
We started with should we do 500 plus, but that was too easy.
Too easy.
We could have done our whole list of games in the 5 and 600.
Well, it was actually funny because at first you were worried when we said 500. You're like, that seems difficult. And then we were like, just
And
look
then-
into it, Mike.
Oh wait, I lied.
And then he's like, well, maybe we should do like 600. And I'm like, dude, I got like 15 games
wait.
that are in the 600.
Never mind. So then we went 1,000.
I forget
plus.
which somebody commented and said that
100 likes
that
or
it should
something?
be the person's
Ratings?
name. I don't
Yeah.
remember the person's
It's
name.
one of
No,
our newer
no, I'm
Discord
saying they
members.
asked for-
Hello.
But
Thank you for
they
finding
suggested
us.
initially they said it should be 1,000 and
Yes.
and
got
worse.
it. You're saying something else.
And then they were like making it even more difficult, and I'm like, whoa.
That's a lot of research. Okay.
They named some games, and I'm like, well, I've never heard of those. And he goes, well, that's the point. I was like, I get it, but no, fantastic suggestion as far as the caveat goes, because very easily I could have picked a game like 632 and been like,
Yes.
this game should be in the top 200.
We had one other caveat. Nothing from 2022. We
Oh,
figured
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just too new to have an actual rating. It's probably still
Agreed.
crying.
I think I even stayed
crying.
away from 2021 games.
I have a few 2021s, but I wanted to
Yeah.
But
pay
I-
attention
'cause
to
I-
them because they are, like I was saying, underrated.
but I
Yeah.
think that they might climb.
This is where I point out, and I actually did 2019 and earlier. I didn't think 2020 through 2022 have had enough time to climb, especially with what the world's been.
I probably could have done some of that, but some of these I just think that their name's not out there. And I think
All of
that they
mine
need to
are
put out.
3
Yeah,
or 4
it was
years
just a
old
personal
or
thing.
more.
Sure.
I've got a couple from 2021, but yeah, the rest are much older
Don't
than
show 'em.
that.
Spoilers.
No, it's bump us.
Yeah.
We don't know how to
bum
pronounce your
pus-
name in the Discord.
Pronouncing
You're
a
one of our
Discord
newer
name
members.
in actual English can be
But,
extremely
but
difficult.
hey, thank you for the fantastic
Yes,
suggestion,
we
and thank you
appreciate
for
it.
being on Discord.
Yep. Agreed.
And also thanks to all the other people that are always on Discord.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Pumpkinhead, Potato Legion,
Potato
Legion of Potatoes.
Or
Voodoo Spectre,
Voodoo Spectre.
No,
He's on there quite a
Bob
bit.
Silver,
Bob Silver.
Potato Legion,
Yes.
Pumpkinhead,
Yes.
Potato Legion, and Pumpkinhead.
Pepper
person.
Battalion. That was the last one.
Oh,
Oh,
the Pepper
jeez.
Battalion. Oh, boy. Okay, guys.
Anyways.
So I've got like, do you have your ranking where they are on BGG written
Yes.
down?
I have, yes, the number they are on BGG, the year it came out, and the number of votes it's got.
Oh, okay. So
I did
didn't.
not do the
I
votes.
have the name of the game.
Yep. Oh, I forgot that. But man, this one ranked 1389, way underrated. It should be way higher than that.
I will say though,
I cannot handle this.
I will say that all mine except for maybe one are going to have a lot of votes.
Killing me, Smalls.
I didn't look at votes.
I didn't look at the votes. I looked at the year when I was picking, but other than that, like I didn't mark down the year. But I just did the game and the rating on BGG.
Sure. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Let's dive into it.
Now I'm gonna try to like cross things off that other people mentioned because I've got like 18.
Because that's how
written
Tim
down.
does lists. He's like, I got my top 18. Unless you call off some of these, I'm going to scratch them out.
Well,
Hopefully
because
it's
I
down
want to
to
cover
10.
more games.
I hear
So,
you. Sure.
yeah.
I hear you.
I know
I'd
Dan
give you a
hates
hard
that,
time.
but,
yeah, I'm not
you
a
know.
fan either.
It just means it's not top 10.
It's not.
Sure it
see,
is.
See at my list that says 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, one.
Oh, that's weird how
that
math
one gets
works.
a page to itself.
Yeah, 'cause I ran out. Plus, it keeps it hidden
mine out
from
so,
Tim.
Oh, screen
I
cap.
love this.
Screen cap, zoom in, get spoilers.
Spoilers.
Word.
I love this professionalism
Look-
here,
look at
man. This
this.
is nice.
You're welcome. The
I
production
mean, you know,
quality is going up.
I
But
mean,
Mike,
maybe
why do
choose
you
a
hate
font
trees?
next time. But oh boy.
Whoa.
So number 10.
Currently ranked number 1,389, released in 2019 with 1,762 votes. The Artemis Project.
Oh, okay. Haven't played it.
Underrated. Dice placement. They have an expansion getting ready to come out for it. I think it's way underrated. I love rolling dice. I love dice placement. You guys need to check it out. Grand's Gamers Guild.
How
they
did I
make
not
good
write down
stuff.
that? Okay.
So-
I've always wanted to play that game.
Yeah, it looks
I own it.
fascinating. I like dice placement.
Yep.
I love the art style.
Yep. And it's so
At
much
least
that
of the box.
you have like a ship full of like random dudes, and as you shake them, they come out. They're all like engineers and scientists and
Right.
things like that. And so depending on
Oh,
who you
because those
get-
are the dice you're saying.
No,
Oh.
those are actual people. So you have your dice and
Oh.
you're placing them around to do things, and depending on what die you place, you'll like rank them and earn and take like resources and stuff like that. And then one of the places you go is the recruitment camp. And each turn you're shaking up the spaceship full of little random guys, like not minis, they're little wooden meeples basically, but they're different colors. And so like one is a scientist, one's an engineer, one's just a regular, I think, person, and then sorry.
Oh boy.
But then depending on who you get, they can like operate certain things in your shelter and whatnot. And so, but yeah, it's a really great. It's a really great system. So
I love it.
yeah,
I love it.
Go ahead, Tim.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to pick for my number 10. This game, it did not come out in 2008, despite the title. It is a two-player game from Z-Man Games. It is ranked 1,903, and it is called Campaign Manager 2008.
What year did it come out?
I don't know, 2009, 2010,
That was just a joke.
2006.
There you go.
This game, it is such a good push and pull campaign game.
Yeah.
You are playing as either you're running John McCain's campaign or you are running Barack Obama's campaign. It is only two players. You're playing cards that are actual events that happened, and but also like political tactics,
Yeah.
and things that you can do, and you're gonna have these cards that represent the states, and you're moving a cube up and down, basically like swaying support. Like, oh, maybe the religious right is more effective in this. So if you can play a card there, it's going to give you a bonus,
Right.
And things like that. Correct. Anyways, this was a game that I'd seen for years and was like, whatever. And I just happened to get like a used copy for like $5. I was like, I'll take a flyer on it. And I played it and I was like, holy crap, this is actually a really good game.
Yeah.
And I played it a couple times with other, all kinds of people. Your politics do not matter. But, I mean, it can make, if you are interested in engaging in those kind of conversations, it can make for interesting conversations. If you were old enough to be interested in politics at the time, like I was, it was also interesting to have conversations about like, oh, I remember when this happened, and so I just not only found it as a fascinating and super fun game to play, but just a really cool microcosm of history,
Right.
like very current or, very
Relatively current,
recent,
yeah.
recent history, and was a very fun and satisfying game. So Campaign Manager 2008, super fun, really liked it.
Yep, love the look of it. Haven't played any of them. My number 10 is the fun one. That's why it's number 10. My number
Happy
10s
Salmon?
My number 10s are always weird. So my number 10, I've talked about it quite a bit before, and it's underrated because of its number, right? As well as say, and actually this one leans more towards underhyped. I'll say that. I don't even care. So this game came out in 1976. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And is ranked
Calm down, Spencer.
and is ranked 21,930, okay, by Milton Bradley, and it is Chopper Strike.
Oh,
I cannot talk enough
I'm
about
like,
this game.
he did not scroll all the way down to
No.
that far.
Yeah.
in.
No.
He must have just typed this game in and, was
seen
like,
where it was.
this
Oh,
isn't in the
boom.
top 10?
Yeah. So yes, as that's what I was leaning towards. Clearly, it does not belong to be in the top 10, right? So it leans more towards underhyped, but also 21,000 is really low. But Chopper Strike, I love it, and this is a game that I think could easily be brought back with a more clever system.
Restoration
It's
games.
like a restoration games thing.
Rob
like,
Davio, we're calling you. Hey.
The basic idea is it's just two-layer chess. You're playing chess on the bottom and you're playing chess on top, and there are two boards that stick together like this. And on the bottom, you have like tanks, and on the top, you have helicopters.
Or
And,
choppers.
yeah, right.
Just check.
Well, and technically the things
Get
on bottom
to the
aren't
chopper.
tanks either. But so So as you're moving on the bottom, your tanks can destroy your other tanks, right? Just like in I guess it's more like checkers than chess. Sorry, but also if you end up under a helicopter, you can blow up the helicopter because you can boom, right? And then the helicopters are playing against each other and they have their own thing. But then if the helicopter ends on top of a tank, it can destroy the tank by dropping bombs on it. So you're playing this 3D 2-layer chess, but the theming is really cool. And like I said, I think that if they actually deepened the mechanics here and actually made it more than just it's basically roll and move. Like you're rolling 2 dice, and that's choosing how many ships you can move how many spaces. So if you roll a 2 and a 3, you can move 2 ships 3 spaces or 3 ships 2 spaces, right? Like that's all it is. But deepen those up and make the map look really cool, with the art style that's on it, and make the little miniatures really cool looking. I think you have a really good game here, guys. This is a quality game that it just suffers because it looks kind of crap and is a 1970s Milton Bradley game.
Sure. Plus, tanks can't shoot straight up.
Right. Well, it's a wind. No,
Holy wind.
Yeah.
But
in the 70s they could.
And again, like I said, I don't think they're actually tanks. They're like these anti-tank vehicles with the things that tilt up on the back of the missiles.
Anti-aircraft.
What did I say? Anti-tank?
Tank,
yeah,
yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
We got you now, tank.
vehicles.
Boom! Oh wait, that's not a tank up there.
I saw him
Straight up,
a
straight
second
back down again.
But yeah, so this is my fun one, 21,000
Hey,
or whatever
they're
I
all
know.
fun.
But
Wow.
I talk about Chopper Strike a lot, and really, guys, I wish more people could check this. I wish it would get a reprint.
I wish you'd
by
stop talking
Restoration
about it.
Games.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, well.
No, I mean,
It'd be interesting to check out.
Honestly, though,
Good idea.
right? This is a ripe target for somebody like Restoration Games
Yes.
or a Hasbro, right? To just do a reprint, but unlike Hasbro, actually do something with the mechanics when you reprint
Right. Yeah.
it. Anyways,
Wow, I don't know how I can live up to
Okay, so
ranking 21,000.
you gotta go.
so
you
I'm
got. No, the
actually
rule is
gonna
you got to
ahead
go
and
further
leave.
back.
That's true.
Did
you not pay attention? Bob said it.
The year is 2014. I'm a relatively new gamer. I hadn't met these guys yet.
Thank God.
I realized I love social deduction because I had been playing a buttload of Werewolf and the Resistance. I had learned of Battlestar Galacta's existence, but it's already out of print. And I wasn't, as a new gamer, about to dump $200-300 into an out-of-print
And
copy
you
of
still
Battlestar
shouldn't.
Galactica.
Still shouldn't.
I'd pay 100.
So people made a print and play, and it was called BSG Express. And then it kind of took off. And then Stronghold's like, let's make that a game, and they called it Dark Moon.
Dark Moon.
Dark Moon
Good
is a
game.
legitimately awesome social deduction game on its own merit. If you can't play Battlestar Galactica, and
Play
I know these
Unfathomable.
guys want to talk about Unfathomable, but Dark Moon deserves its place. I have had some great experiences playing Dark Moon.
I agree. It's also more themed like The Thing, too, which will grab people.
Yeah, it's not, when you look at the board and the box, I can see why, what is this game? But it's a semi-cooperative with a trader mechanic. It has variable player powers. It works with 3 and 4 players, which how many social deduction games actually do that? I've legitimately had fun 3 or 4 player games of Dark Moon. And its mechanics are very simple. It's like you're just trying to repair one of 3 spots on the board.
Yeah, using a hidden dice rolling mechanic.
Yeah, so you're rolling dice behind your board. And what this game does so well is right out of the gate, it arises suspicion. You immediately are like, oh, it's got to be Bob. Because your dice, this is so amazing to me. The dice, 66, 4 of the 6 sides are negatives. Only 2 of them are positives. To have a successful repair, you have to submit a positive dice or a positive die. So if you roll on negatives, you still have to submit your negative die. And everybody's going, Tim, you son of a. And that is just amazing.
I had, guys.
Right out of the gate, it is just, bam, people are accusing you. And I just love that. The tension is incredible. I also like how the traders in this game are infected. And infected people can reveal at some point in time, and if they time it right, you can have these uber powerful reveal turns where it's just like,
BSG.
oh, you thought you had 4 out of 6 of the shield repaired, blow, 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 plus blow, and it's like, oh crap.
Hold on, 4 blows?
I thought we were cool, and wow, we got a lot of repairing to do. So you're trying to figure out who that that infected person is before they reveal. You can vote to put them in quarantine before they reveal, and they don't even get to do their power turn. Man, it's just so good. I've had some awesome experiences playing it. I highly recommend the Shadow Corporation expansion. This adds an instant win mechanic for both teams, which just ramps up the tension. You have a ship. You can vote to send 3 people out on the ship. If all three people are good team wins. But if one player on that ship is infected, the infected team wins. And the fact that that is in the game and you can just start a vote for that ship
makes
at
it even
any
more
time.
like a thing.
Oh my gosh, it's just incredible. I
Sounds
love
like
Dark
another
Moon.
underrated game.
Man, I have to gush about that. Yeah, Unfathomable is better, but Dark Moon is still an awesome game in its own right.
Well,
it should be ranked way higher than it should be definitely within the top.
I didn't
1,000.
even say it's ranked 1,206.
Yeah,
it's in my top 50, like easily.
Yeah, Dark Moon's really good.
It's for people that like those games, you can play that type of game, a BSG, Dead of Winter, or anything like that. If you want to compare that kind of like hidden trader mechanic in less than an hour, like that's crazy.
Yeah.
That you can get that experience like
Yeah,
that.
it's really fun. It's really good.
I like it a lot.
It's really good.
All right.
Bob, number 9.
Number 9. Currently ranked at 5,108.
Check my list.
Coming out
familiar.
in 2018 with only 285 votes, because nobody knows about this game, so it falls, like Dan was saying, underhyped.
Right.
Evil High Priest.
I thought about
Evil.
it.
This is one of, like, I love this
about it.
worker placement game. It's who
I
doesn't
didn't
love cults,
because I knew.
right? Everybody loves cults, right? And you get to have a sanctum, and you're stashing all your goods in there, and you got the mad cultists running around.
It is my
protecting,
second favorite Peterson game.
Wait, you're a mad
Peterson
cultist?
game,
That's what
yeah.
that means.
And then it kind of ramps up because you have your normal board with the cities, places, and whatnot. And then the ritual tracks open up, and you can start sending guys to do rituals to really get your resources coming in. You have asymmetrical abilities. You can summon monsters to help protect your sanctum. It's so cool. And maybe just people don't know about it. I don't know, because it comes with so many boards too. There's all these ancient ones, right? There's the Black Goat. There's the Cthulhu. There's Tim knows all the names.
I think the problem is that there is a stigma around Peterson games because of they are slow fulfillment of games. Even then, when Evil High Priest came out, and I just think that also people ignored it because it wasn't like Cthulhu Wars or Planet Apocalypse, right? This was a totally different style of game. It is asymmetric worker placement. Is it asymmetric? No, it is because you get your leaders.
Correct. Your leaders
get
have
the ability. They make
powers
you
on them.
asymmetric.
Correct.
But yeah, I mean, because it is a straight up worker placement game that is really well done. I love that mechanic of that whole board.
The way as you're unlocking the different,
you're kind of racing
things
down that
doing
board
the
and getting
rituals and stuff.
Yeah, it's really good.
What year was this one?
2018.
Oh yeah, so it's an honorable mention for me for sure.
Yeah, I mean, with only 285 votes, I mean, if it had been newer with only that many votes, I'd been like, okay, well, maybe it just hasn't been heard of it. But man, 2018, people should have heard of this game by now.
Yeah.
There should be more votes for it because it is.
I worked the Gen Con that it came out, or when it was filling and everything, and everybody that played it, I was demoing games for Peterson Games.
Yeah.
Everybody that played it was like, this is really good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah.
Yep.
What was that rated?
5,108.
Okay, so good. I'm going to pick one that is rated
further
down than that. 5,530. Friend of the show, Joey Vigor's Growl.
Yeah, that was my honorable mention.
Growl is a social deduction game that plays like no other social deduction game because everybody is they've got they got your cards to start, and you're you either get the bite, which means you're a werewolf, or you get not a bite and you're not a werewolf. It's like a coin or whatever. I forget what the other card.
It's gold. Yeah.
That you get the
right,
coin
in your
card.
opening hand. Yes,
in your opening hand. Then what you're doing is you're going to go through this deck that you've built. So there's these night events that are going to happen. So you just reveal a card, and it's like, oh, that's a wound. I've got it, but I cannot take this card. I have to give it to somebody sitting around the table. So then now the banter begins and the interaction. Like, who am I going to give this card to?
Dan.
Okay, it's a wound. Give it to Dan. But you might be like, oh, well, I've got a salve, so I can take that wound and give it to me. But then bite cards are also coming out. And so you don't want to give a bite card to somebody that is not a werewolf because you don't want to accidentally turn them into a werewolf, but you cannot give a bite card to a werewolf because when you get to that night phase, after you resolve that event, you're going to take a card two cards from your hand. You're going to pass one to the left, one to the right. You mix them up before you look at them, and you add them to your hand. So what you're essentially doing is you're giving the werewolf bite cards to pass around.
Disseminates everybody else. Yeah.
And so, 3 bites makes you a werewolf, 3 wounds kills you. There are charms that can counteract the bites, salves that can counteract the wounds. And then basically at the end of the game, if your team wins, you count up all the gold coins you have. And then you play like 3 rounds, whatever.
Right.
Most
humans
gold.
win if there are any humans left.
Any humans living, yes, humans win.
You say it does not sound like any other game, but it actually is like a game that's just coming out.
Well, it sure is.
Yeah.
Stranger Things,
Yeah.
Attack of the Mind Flayer is a re-theme of Growl.
Yep.
But Growl is a fantastic social deduction game that absolutely more people should know about because it is super fun. You don't even love...
It's probably my favorite werewolf game.
This is one that I'd be interested in the votes and stuff for because I think that this is kind of a, not marketing thing, but like I think that there are some really big YouTubers that have
publicly
said they don't like this game, and I think that people just avoid it because of that, and I just think you guys shouldn't avoid it. You should try it out.
Yeah, because those guys
don't
are
listen
wrong.
to those guys on YouTube.
Yeah, idiots.
Well, whatever big YouTuber said that were wrong. This is a really
It's a
fun,
really good game.
really good game.
Yeah.
Oh, he's growling.
Oh, sorry, I was growling.
Oh, you were a werewolf.
He's a werewolf.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he has resting
I thought he was
werewolf
hungry.
face. So yeah, my number 9 is Growl.
All right.
My number 9, I've talked about a million times. This is ranked 1,494. It came out in 2015, and it's called Arctic Scavengers.
Oh, yeah.
Technically, Arctic Scavengers Base
that on your
HQ
list?
Recon came out in 2015. That's the one that I own. So that one actually, the original Arctic Scavengers came out previously, and that's the one ranked 1494 because the all-in bundle one doesn't have a ranking because it's counted as like an expansion or something, I guess. But yeah, so this is by Rio Grande Games, designed by Robert K. Gabhart, I'm not sure. The thing that really annoys me here is that Arctic Scavengers is ranked 1,494, and Dominion is ranked 111.
I knew it was coming.
111. That's how big the difference is. Listen, you can like Dominion more than Arctic Scavengers if you want. I think you're incorrect, but you can. That's your right. But the fact that they are like 1,200 something apart or 13, no, it's in the 90s, so 1,300 something apart is crazy to me. They're so similar, and Arctic Scavengers just has interesting mechanics like mixed in, you know?
Yeah.
Like
this one that scores me points actually does something?
Yeah, like, like you're trying to build up the population of your group while also building up, like, by also getting to this junk pile, while also building up for a fight that's going to happen every third round or whatever, while also building, like, there's all these really interesting things you're having to juggle while also making a good deck instead of just, I buy the library. You know? Like, I don't get the difference from 1494 to 111.
I
like
Arctic Scavengers more than Dominion. I understand the popularity for Dominion. It is an OG game.
Right.
It's been garnering votes a lot longer. It's gotten a lot more attention.
Sure.
It has more expansions.
And it's true when someone wants to say, like, well, Dominion is like a cleaner game. It's more clean. That's true. But, like, I look at it as if you put your clothes in the laundry machine, you just keep cleaning them forever, eventually your clothes are going to disappear. You know, like, you'll just ruin them, you know?
Well, I would just say they're bleached out and bland.
And exactly. And Dominion is just like, yeah, it's really clean, but it's so clean because there's just nothing happening. Like, I just don't get it. And so, yeah, again, Arctic Scavengers, similar pure deck builder, but with some interesting mechanics. And fair enough, like an interesting theme to me. I really like the snowy post-apocalyptic thing that's going on.
Snow theme.
But yeah, it's the snow game. Yep.
Yeah. Now you have to play with the expansions too, right? 'Cause that does.
You do not have to.
Oh, you don't?
No, base game, obviously they are more interesting, but actually when you guys played, you guys did not play with HQ.
Okay.
You guys might have played with Recon. I'm
That's
not
what I
sure
thought.
because that one just adds some characters, I think.
Okay.
But HQ adds this whole base building mechanic where you have an HQ that has an asymmetric power that you can use and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you guys haven't played with that yet. But yeah, anyway, I've talked about it a million times. Arctic Scavengers is my number 9.
Well done.
My number 9 came out in 2011, and this is published by Hutch.
Oh my
I don't know how you say it. Capital H, capital U, capital C, capital H, exclamation point. I
Okay.
think you should probably scream it.
Yo, but is it? Hush. It's the exact opposite.
It's a C, not an S.
Yeah,
Dan.
well, they did that. not
But
me.
this is ranked 1,074. You can play this online at Yucata. You can play this online at Boitajou. And I'm just shocked that the classic game Vanuatu is only ranked 1,074.
I don't know any
Never
of the
heard of
words
it.
you've said so far,
Yeah.
just so you know.
Well, I mean,
this is
I've
the
heard a
English
lot of these
version
words.
of
So,
the
yes,
board game
these
rundown.
are websites. One's French, Yucata. I don't know where that website generates from. But
You
these
said
are
it's
two,
French.
Yana,
Could be
that
Canada.
one. Yana,
Oh,
So Vanuatu is a very cutthroat, mean bidding action selection game.
So
It
that's
is
why it's not ranked in the top 5.
very tight. It's been reprinted. I mean, so like there was enough love to get it.
Sure,
a reprint.
Monopoly's been reprinted.
Whoa, he is just
But
hating
it's
on
a
you right
good
now.
game. Okay, so
It's not like it's
I know
Canada.
nothing. Actually, this sounds like a game I would like to play.
Yeah, it does. Sound like a me game. It does not sound like a me game.
you've essentially got like 7 or 8 actions that you can choose depending on the number of players. And to choose that action, you have to bid for it by the number of meeples that you put on it.
Okay.
But you're going to go in turn order. Then other people are going to bid. If somebody outbids you on that action, you can't do it.
Oh, interesting. You don't
so
get to
you got to
rebid.
know how badly you want that action. So
hate
if
it.
one of your first few actions is gathering fish and your last few actions you've bid on is selling fish, but you didn't bid enough on gathering fish, guess what happens when you go to sell fish?
No fish.
You can't.
You can't.
It is hardcore. I mean, this game, at least try it once. Vanuatu is mean, it's aggressive, and it is good.
I feel like I dated her.
I liked this game quite
might
a
have been
bit.
married to
I need to play it again. But there you go. I mean, it's 11 years old, and that's probably
Oh,
why
no,
it's
wasn't her.
fallen quite a bit.
Oh, my
So
jeez.
I don't know what's going on
I
over
don't.
here.
Here,
but
just
that is my
listen to
number
me.
9.
This sounds terrible. This is not a Dan game for
No.
sure.
That's why you got to play it online because the people that like it are few and far between.
Yeah, programming games can be mean in general because
Yeah.
sometimes you program this stuff up.
Oh, you're saying because you're programming your bid?
I didn't get to
Yeah.
do nothing. Or I got to do nothing.
It seems like you
so-
complained about that mechanic in another game sometimes. Where it was like, I was going to do something, but then somebody else did it and blocked it, and it screwed my whole turn up. That sounds like that game.
It is a mean game. Some end up working out better than others. Age of
Alright.
Steam is a super mean game that I did not like at all. I didn't stand a chance in it and just had a terrible time with it, but I enjoyed this game immensely.
All right. So, coming back around this way, I'm about to hit my run of slightly newer games.
Number 8.
Number 8. Rated 5,383 right now.
I'm not going to beat that one.
Nah, don't
Came
have
out in 2021. Only has 446 votes, so I'm hoping to get more eyes on it. Venice.
Oh,
It's-
yeah.
Venice is a great
I
game.
feel like that's been out long enough to be on the underrated list.
Yeah.
So I will not give you a hard time about like, well, I can't believe my father's work isn't rated.
Well, that's 2022. That's not our rules. So,
No, again,
anyways.
I'm not going to give anyone a hard time for the years. I just personally wanted to go further.
No, so in Venice, you're populating this board of Venice, and with all these different buildings, and you have these gondolas. Each person's got 2. And you're going to take your gondolier from gondola to gondola, moving them around, and you have to pay like tolls and fees as you're going around the board. And as you stop at different buildings, you're going to activate them, advance your worker, and then those buildings will get stronger and stronger. However, as you go past buildings, you will also get to activate those where they're at currently. So you're kind of like engine building with your workers and kind of going around and trying to make it so I can like go past some places to get some money to keep going, so I can go here to build some more cubes. And then I'm also doing contract fulfillment. So I'm also trying to get the proper cubes to drop them off at the right building to unlock points and special abilities. And it's fantastic. And my biggest complaint is the board is so small because the box is small. But with their new game they've got coming out, not Ragusa, that was the earlier one. The newer one is coming out. I'm going to draw a blank on it, but they are releasing a bigger board for Venice. And I've got that on order, so when that comes, I'd like to try to get another playthrough of it. And yeah, it's fantastic. Oh, and it's got intrigue, which is super cool because as you're passing other ships in the night, it's suspicious, and you build up intrigue. At the very end of the game, whoever has the most intrigue gets arrested and cannot win the game no matter what. And I love those kinds of like, yeah, so you're trying to balance that. You're like, oh, I want to do a bunch of stuff, but there's a bunch of people over there. If my ship goes past those 3 people, I got to gain all that intrigue, so I don't really want to go over there. Yeah, it's a great game. So
Yeah, I want to play this.
yeah.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Looks really cool. I think I will do for my number 8. Oh boy, so many amazing games to pick from. This game is a game that I love, and I can't believe people aren't like as crazy about it as I think. Well, I don't think Mike's played it.
'Kay.
Like
Oh, yeah.
everybody at this table loves this game, and we were like, how have people not heard of this game? Court of the Dead,
Yep.
Mourner's Call. It is rated 1,990.
Yeah, that's
This-
on my list too.
This is like a top like if we do our top 30, you know, like this is easily a top 30 game.
Okay.
Like
I think it was in mine when we did it.
I mean, the components right off the bat, the components are amazing.
Artwork.
The artwork is beautiful. The push and pull with like the different tracks here, and then you've got sort of like that. It's almost like a territory control at the bottom where you're trying to have like area majority, right?
Area majority.
So you can get control of these different factions to then, you know, unlock their abilities and do the things. Such a good, well-made game that is absolutely beautiful that nobody's heard of.
Yeah.
It is so good.
People see that big box, they're kind of like, you know, because it looks intimidating.
Yeah,
but it's
and
really not.
I know, and I wonder if that's part of it.
I think
it
it
just
is.
looks like, oh, this is a big, and it's like, it's not.
It looks
really.
almost Warhammer. Oh, they're going to be like
It's
assembly
kind of,
involved.
honestly, for the game, it's kind of overproduced and overpriced. So I think that makes it a bad game.
I think it does.
It's got a lot of depth. It's got a lot of depth. So I find that it's a more satisfying experience than maybe a different game.
Okay.
Of that version.
Sure.
But no, I've never had a bad experience playing it. I think it's great. Every time I like look at games, it's like I really want to play that.
I think the biggest problem with that game is Dan is good at it.
Well, I was going to say.
Fair.
So I was going
Hold
to
on,
say.
let me cross that off.
This actually has. I'm glad that you brought this game up into this conversation because this game has potential of skyrocketing up my favorite games of all time list. Only because it is going to be so relaxing for the rest of my life anytime I have to play this game because we've played it 3 times now and I've won all 3 times. I have a 100% win rating on this game, and so like next time I play, I don't even have to try, and I'll still have a great time because I'm just like,
It's fine.
I got my wins over with, man.
I can't win them all.
It is.
And no, I'm kind of being serious though. You know,
Yeah.
like it's just like this relaxing game now. Now I just want to try crazy stuff and just like if I get 0 points, I don't care.
Mike,
Like,
I think you would really like this.
It's
Is
a
a
really
game
good game.
that I would be like, if you didn't like this game, I'd be like, well, I don't know you. Like I think you would like this game.
Wow.
I really
yeah,
do.
area
Wow.
majority. It has drafting in it.
Yeah.
It has not like deck building, but you have like this little deck thing you're going through, right?
Yeah,
And
you do have some cards
'Cause-
that you can get, and
Yeah, because you're like getting abilities that go out or
right.
whatever.
It's just really good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
And
It's
again,
really well
that
made.
artwork
It's
and
beautiful. The
everything.
board is beautiful.
Oh, dude, the it's like in hell.
Yeah.
And it's like there's like this blue spirit water everywhere, and it's all
Shimmering.
It's all shimmering on the board. All the spirit water is embossed.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
looks so
That's
good.
the technical term.
yeah,
So good.
yeah, shimmering.
So
Shimmering.
this is how I knew I made a good pick because you guys talked about it at least as much as I did,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
was at least as excited as I was.
yeah.
I'm interested in the
Didn't make the
spirit
short
water.
list,
Are
but
we
it was
talking
on my
about
long
White
list.
Claw?
Yeah. What? All right.
White Claw, something, I don't know.
My number 8.
What's your number 8?
My number 8 is actually similar to my reasoning kind of thing with Arctic Scavengers, right? My number 7.
It's Dominion.
So my number 8 is Sonar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sonar came out in 2017 by Madigo Games, designed by Roberto Fraga and Johan
that many Fraga?
Lemonnier. Sorry, guys. My name's pronounced Stafford. So now you guys don't have to struggle, you know, if you hear. But anyway, Sonar is ranked 2,449, and Captain Sonar is ranked 183. And I
Captain
just think,
Sonar is amazing.
It is.
I've never played Sonar.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. People,
his point.
people look at Sonar, and I think what it is, hey, Bob, like a streamlined 2-player, like hardcore tactical version of Captain Sonar. Sounds cool, right?
Yeah.
It's not real time. You take turns.
Oh.
okay.
I'm just saying, most people, when you hear that it's taking turns instead, they go,
Yeah, but I also
And-
hear to the counter that I do hear people like Captain Sonar where it's like,
where they play with the turns?
yeah, because
Yeah.
they don't like the real time
Really?
aspect.
The
And I
shouting
think
and
the
hecticness.
I think the
love
real time is what makes that game
See, I
freaking
agree. The
soar.
problem is that Sonar is just a different beast. Sonar is a
Sure.
tactical 2-player. Like, when I play it, it is intense. You are sitting there, like, mathing stuff out and, like, okay, I'm gonna move north on this turn, right? And I don't know what that's gonna do for
I
me,
love
right?
it. I love
where
it.
in Captain Sonar is like north, west, east. Like in this one, you're like, every direction matters, you know?
Yeah.
And I just feel like no one tries it because they're like, oh, it's just it's 2 to 4 player, but most people that I know have played it 2-player only. But it's like, oh, it's like a 2-player, not real-time version of Captain Sonar. Pass. And I'm like, if you like 2-player games, I really suggest getting it. It's a really good strategic
I
2-player
own
game.
it, have not played it yet.
Yeah. But anyway.
But I don't own Captain Sonar, and I love Captain Sonar.
right.
And exactly to your point, it's been on sale so many times, and I always bought it because you could find copies regularly for
Right.
under
Yeah.
$15. And I'm like, but it's not real-time Captain Sonar.
I'm actually also wondering if they knew this, and because when I looked this up to get all the numbers and stuff on BGG, it was re-implemented by a game called Sonar Family or something like that.
Oh,
And
sure.
it looks the same, but I think they're just marketing it as a lighter game instead because everything looks the
Hey,
same. Like it doesn't have the same art style as Captain Sonar anymore.
If it
has
gets
a
more
cartoony
eyeballs
art
on it,
style.
and and somebody walking through a store,
Right.
that wouldn't walk into a hobby game store is like, oh, this sounds like Battleship but better.
Exactly.
Then awesome.
Again, I like these next step games, and I think Sonar is a really good next step game for a game like Battleship and
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah. Anyway, that discrepancy in ranking always makes me want to talk about it because I just think that's crazy how far away
I think
they are.
that is a very good point to bring up.
Okay,
Michael.
so my number 8, speaking of next step gateway games, this was designed by Reiner Knizia.
Okay.
It's ranked 2,613 and came out in 2018. And I mentioned that Lost Cities, the card game, was one of my favorite small box games of all time.
That's the board game.
That is the board game, which came out after the card game. That's well received. Lost Cities, the card game, very well received. But it's like nobody likes Lost Cities Rivals.
Okay.
Nobody's even heard of it or played it.
Nope.
And this is a fantastic filler game. So what Lost Cities...
Let me just
the
tell you
two-player
why.
game,
Because everybody was like, oh, Catan Rivals.
Oh.
Yeah, it was bad.
could be. And granted, it's not as good as Lost Cities, but again, Lost Cities is one of my favorite small box and two-player games ever. Like, it just does two-player card play so extremely well in an elegant rule set, and decisions are tough. Lost Cities Rivals does the same thing, except it's a 4-player game with an auction. Like, okay, 4-player Lost Cities? Yeah, sign me up. So essentially, you're playing cards, you have to play them in ascending order. You start with a handshake that's a modifier or a multiplier, but you have to play them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or you can skip, 3, 6, 8, but they have to be in ascending order. So instead of just drawing a card and then deciding which color you're going to play it in, you're revealing a card, or you can auction the available cards that are out there. So you're bidding on your hand. You don't have a hand. You have to be the highest bidder to get your hand. And then once you do that, then you play your cards into your sets. It plays in like 15 to 20 minutes. You can get it for $15. It's a fantastic filler. It has a good auction. And the
Lost
decisions
Cities
are-
Rivals.
Lost Cities Rivals is one of
I like
Reiner
Lost Cities. I'll need
Knizia's
to look into
most underappreciated games. I had to put it on this list.
Well, when you have 8 million games, some of them are going to be underappreciated.
Well,
for
I have
sure.
another designer we could say the same thing about much later.
Oh.
All right. Well, speaking of newer games,
That
not
makes it number
getting
7?
Enough attention. My number 7 game at 2,934.
I thought he was like saying like
Yeah,
at me,
yeah,
bro.
No.
2,934.
Correct.
Okay.
It's currently ranked. Released in 2021, an introductory type of game, like a next step with 641 votes. Gorinto.
Oh, yeah.
I saw it and I was like, 2021, can't do it.
I saw
I
it.
didn't put that caveat
Yeah.
on myself.
I saw it and I go, Bob's going to talk about this.
Great game. It's an abstract kind of strategy game.
Grand
Everybody,
Gamers Guild, baby.
Grand Gamers Guild. I know, right?
Do you have
So
another
many.
Grand Gamers Guild game on your list?
Me.
So
'Cause that would be
Gorinto,
3.
Is a
No.
game
Oh, you don't?
with 4 elements. And those elements have powers. So when you
Oh,
like
no, I
claim one
almost did, but I
element,
didn't.
it like affects the ones
Thanks, Dan.
orthogonally next to it and stuff like that, right? So you have this 3D like stacked board, and you're like taking things and you're claiming them, and then you have like a power. Anyway, Bob, go on.
Yeah. So you're building up your wisdom in these different elements, and the different elements will proc in different ways, and they're spread out across the board, and the board is assembled according to whatever pre-designed thing you choose at the beginning of the game, and you're going to choose one of those elements, take it across the row or column and set it down, and then depending on how versed you are in your knowledge of that element, you will take more tiles accordingly and then populate your board with it, and you're eventually just building your knowledge, and then there's end of the season points where you'll gain points depending on how your stacks are, and then there's end of the game points you'll be able to earn depending on how many you have, depending on which ones were drawn, and it's just, it plays over 4 seasons, it's like maybe 30, 45 minutes, it's super easy to teach, and it's just amazing. The components are great. Like there's these big chonky plastic tiles that interlock really nice, almost too nice because it makes it hard to mix them up in the bag a little bit sometimes. But they stack up real good. You don't have to worry about them falling over because they stack and interlock so nice. The colors are easy to tell apart. Plus they have the symbol on the top which distinguishes them between each other. It's just a great introduction.
I have nothing bad to say about Garinto at all. It is a really good. Really, really good game.
We were at was it Origins?
Origins,
and I saw they had it there. And if you bought it, you get the 5-6 player expansion. I said, Tim, are you going to want your copy of Garinto back? He said, yeah. I said, okay, I'm going to buy this because I wanted to have my own copy because I take it to events.
If you didn't do that, I was going to have to buy it. So I could get the thing.
I mean, the only thing I have to say about it is I tend to not like abstract strategy games, and I thought this game was fantastic.
Yeah.
I like abstract games, and I enjoyed this one a lot. Also, a note, I beat Bob at it, so that's noteworthy.
Good teacher award. Thank you very much.
It has 2 expansions now. There's the Dragon Mini expansion, which gives you pick a wild action. But it also is a wild score, so you can have the action and the score be totally different. And that sounds really intriguing. And now it's got a 5-player expansion, which sounds pretty cool.
Yep.
I told Bob I was going to put this on my list, and I knew he would put it on his list. And then at 1:30, I decided I'm pulling Garinto for a game that I've got to put on
Game
here.
time decision.
I knew Bob was going to talk about it. It is fantastic. Love Garinto.
Yep.
All right. So my number 7 is Martin Wallace.
He makes that crappy Judge Dredd game.
Yep, that's the one, baby. So Judge Dredd Helter Skelter is based on it's basically the Wildlands.
It's not crappy. I just knew that's what he was going to say.
Yeah, it's so Wildlands would be on my list, but it's rated higher.
It's rated where it should be.
Closer where it should be. Wildlands for Martin Wallace to have a tactical skirmish game with asymmetric factions, and this crazy way that you seed the board,
which is awesome
because you're drafting these cards, and all the boards have numbered space, or all the places on the board are numbered, and you're drafting cards with numbers, and so you're picking where I'm going to choose basically where all of Dan's objective points are going to be, while also picking where I'm going to spawn, and then Bob is picking where my objectives are going to be, and so on and so forth, right? And so you seed the board, and now you're going around and, you're fighting each other. You're trying to gain these crystals. You're basically trying to get 5 points. You get that either by picking up a crystal or by knocking out one of the opponent's figures. Most of the teams are 4 to 6, but they're minis. But standard is kind of 5, but there's
some stronger ones. There's some weaker ones where you get more or less depending.
And it is not language dependent at all because everything is icons. Like the cards all have these little banners, and that tells you what actions they can do, how they can defend,
how they attack.
Well, it's funny though, Tim, because so far you've just explained the first game.
Wildlands.
Yeah, Wildlands. So why would this one be ranked so much lower?
Because it's Judge Dredd themed and it should get more attention.
It's like literally the same game,
But is it Sylvester
right?
Dread or is it like
No, it's comic book Dread. Okay. It is comic book Dread.
You are the law.
And then you've got the other factions that are out are more, they're representative of that like punk rock 80s DC, like that indie comic that Dread actually came out in before DC.
Right, they look like the guys from Borderlands.
Yeah, they're
like that kind
Borderlands
of
was inspired clearly by a lot of these guys. And but anyway, so the thing is that it's you can fully integrate both Wildlands and Helter Skelter together. 2 different maps, right? It's a 2-sided board. But this is a game that was really hard to find. I searched and searched for it, and then was able to buy it at retail, which was nice. But nobody ever had it. So that hurts it. But I think that if you were turned off by sort of the generic fantasy of the Wildlands thing, Dread is an awesome IP, and all of the characters in that version of the game all play uniquely. It's not just a copy and paste, this plays like the Clockwork faction and this plays like the Adventuring Party. No, the judges are all different. They're all badass. You know what I mean? And all the other teams all play differently and everything. And It's really good.
Am I just yeah? I mean, this
I
falls
really
under
enjoy
my
it.
whole thing where it's why are the scores so far apart when they're so similar?
Right.
Yeah,
Like
and
that
I
kind of
just
thing.
think I think accessibility is
Sure.
a big part of it.
Yeah, because I honestly like the universe of the Judge Dredd one more. I thought that the art style and the universe that they were doing was
Yeah.
cool. I just don't love the game mechanics, but that's just me. I just
No,
don't have fun for some
you don't
reason.
love skirmish games
That's
anyways.
true, and it does feel like a
And it
skirmish
is
game.
very much a
It
skirmish
is,
game.
Yeah.
But I just love the tension, but also the different ways that you can win.
Right.
But anyways,
Yep. The asymmetrical is
yeah,
great.
yeah, and it's Martin Wallace. It's good.
So my number 7. If there's one thing that the people on this table, right,
Uh-oh.
the people of the Board Game Rundown would say about me is that I love games that are all about gambling. So Homestretch is my number 7.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Homestretch came out in 2012. And it's ranked 5,200.
Tim's done now.
and it's ranked 5,245.
Open up my DraftKings app.
Yeah. And it's by R&R Games and designed by Frank DiLorenzo. And Homestretch is just a super
Oh,
dumb,
it's so good.
light
It's so good.
horse betting game where you're like buying cards and then you're like rolling dice and horse are moving and you're just kind of hoping you win.
It's so good.
And that's it.
It's so
and you're
good.
betting, right? So you get more money if the horse you said will come in first comes in first and second comes in second and all that kind of stuff, right? It's horse betting stuff. But there's just something about this game that every time I play it, because it's so just dumb fun, like I always just crank the I can't think of the name of it right now. William Tell.
Yeah.
I always crank the yeah. I used to go play at Levi's house and we would play this game like once every 2 weeks or
Oh,
something.
wow.
And we would just stand around the table with that song blasting going like, go, go. Like, it's so stupid.
Run, you beautiful beast.
Yeah, go. Go! You know? And there's just something about Homestretch. It's so dumb and I love it. It's just really fun. But anyway, yeah. So like I said, 5,245. I just think when it comes to like betting games and stuff, this was just by far the most fun I have with them.
I think if more people could get their
It'll-
hands on it a
Yeah.
little bit easier, that it would
Yeah.
be rated higher.
And it just doesn't take itself seriously. And I
No,
think
that's
that's a
great.
big plus for me.
It's great.
But anyway, that's it. Homestretch.
As a really big fan of Camel Up and Long Shot the Dice Game, and to be regularly reminded by Dan about how he dislikes these games, I just want to let you know I didn't hear a word he just said. So
Homestretch, Mike.
hold on, let me write that down. He still didn't say
Push
anything.
your luck in gambling.
Okay, so
Frickin'
my
hypocrite over
number
here.
7 came out in 2015. It's ranked 1,141, and it was published by Tasty Minstrel Games. So it may not come back. And I
Yeah.
think one of the reasons it might be ranked so low is because the box art is truly hideous, but it is such a unique game, and it's Ponzi scheme.
Oh, I want to play Ponzi scheme.
Haven't played it, but I want to do it.
Ponzi.
I want
Do
to
you
run
have any
one.
money?
What for? Don't
Would
worry
you like
about
to
it. Don't worry about
invest?
it. Don't worry about it. So Ponzi Scheme is this very unique game for 3 to 5 players where you are basically trying to be the last person that still has money. If you run out of money, you can't win. And somebody is going to run out of money.
Because they notice that your scheme is fake.
Well,
Otherwise, the game doesn't
you
work.
start with
also,
10
'cause then it will never
bucks,
end.
but you're going to draw a tile, and then you're going to take
Build a pyramid.
then you're going to take
Different scheme.
money
Oh.
that it tells you what round you have to pay back the interest.
It's like an
So
acronym.
maybe I take the $10 tile, but in round 3, I have to pay $7 of interest. Okay, so I got this little dial that I rotate every round, so I put it on round 3 as a reminder. When that comes around, I got to pay $7 of interest. What's funny is when round 3 comes around and you pay off the interest, it doesn't go away. You move it 3 spots forward. So you're going to run out of money. It's can you last longer than the other players. And what this game does so well is the tension. And you know how in QE you've got that private information, you don't know what people are bidding?
Right.
Some people don't like that.
I think it's great.
I love that. I love how every game you can get a totally different type of value from group to group. Because what's happening is you're taking this tile and ultimately you're collecting sets of tiles. And those are the points you get at the end of the game. So after you do that and you take your money, the first player gets to make an offer for another person's tile. So let's say I drafted a red tile. Well, larger sets of red tiles will make me money. Tim's got a red tile. So I'm going to grab this little leather wallet. It's got paper money, which typically I don't like, but it works well in this because I got a leather wallet and I take my dollars and I stuff them into this wallet. Then I hand it to Tim. He's going to look at my offer and he's got an interesting decision to make. Does he want to sell his red tile to me for the $9 offer I gave him? If so, he takes my $9, I get his red tile. Or he can match the offer. He can give me $9 back and keep his red tile. Thus
so wait, I have to pay you to not lose my tile?
That's correct.
Wow.
You don't get my money unless you give me that tile.
Wow.
And you're the only person that gets to see that offer for the rest of the game.
Wow.
So then it just keeps going around until somebody runs out of money because you got to pay this interest back. And it's just so fascinating. I don't know how much replayability it's got. Like you could easily get 20 to 30 plays out of it because it's so unique. But it will start to feel like the same game every time you play it. But I'm still just fascinated by this concept. I bought a copy before TMG officially closed on one of the big websites, CSI, I think. And I want to play it more. I think you guys would enjoy it quite a bit. But it's also, there's this reading of somebody like they're counting their money and they're counting how much interest they owe next round. And you're like, I got to make him an offer because he looks like he's about to run out of money.
Right.
You know, so it's really just trying to force other players to run out of money before you do.
I love
that
it. That sounds good.
Is really, really good.
Sounds fun.
This actually sounds fantastic. Yeah,
Sounds super fun.
Ponzi scheme. My number 7.
All right. Takes us to number 6. My number 6, probably one of my favorite Gray Fox games, ranked at 2,127. Came out 2021 with only 840 votes after the Empire.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is an
go on.
awesomely well-produced. It's got worker placement game. It's got tower defense where you're flipping cards over, and you literally have this like wooden castle with guys on it trying to protect it, and you can upgrade to stone, and there's little stone bits on there that will fall off as they get attacked. You've got farms where you're trying to feed your people. You're placing workers out to try to recruit like more people to fight or to get more food or money or whatever you might need. And yeah, it's just got awesome presence. There's so many times I've been playing this game at a meetup. People walk by like, I want to play that just because it looks so cool. Like with you're flipping out these square cards. They're telling you what direction all these guys are coming from, and it's just great. And thankfully, like it got another reprint, so hopefully it'll be on shelves more often. Plus, it has a upgrade kit where if you bought like the regular version and you want like the cooler version, you can just get the upgrade kit. Like man, Gray Fox Games, that's one of their coolest endeavors that I've seen them do. Like I really enjoy that game. I want to play it more often after the Empire.
Yeah.
It's a great brand new game.
Yep. It's not brand new. 2021.
I love it.
I mean, 2021, is that when it delivered?
Yeah, it hit shelves.
Yes.
last
We
year.
literally had it on our FLG store. In
It hit
Oh, wait, yeah,
shelves last
2021
year.
was last year.
Yeah, this is 2022.
Of
Yes.
course. That's way too.
In case you don't remember.
Just for me, that game is
Now the second-
definitely going to move up. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, because like I said, they just did another Kickstarter, like another release of it, or GameFound, I think it was. And so, hopefully it's getting out there more.
Yeah.
All
Great game.
Yep.
right, guys. My number, are we 6?
Yes.
6.
6 is a theme that I love. Those of you that know me know that I love horror movies.
Do you?
Amongst all movies, but I do love horror movies.
No.
Quite a bit. I also love 1v Hidden Movement.
Oh, yeah, I knew
games.
this. I saw this
I
as
saw
I was
this. I was
scrolling.
like, Tim's going to get that.
Yeah.
Remember the one that I said I hoped you saw? This was the one that I hoped Tim saw.
So this game is not perfect. It has its warts, but it is so much fun to play. Every time I've played last Friday, which is ranked 3,406, I've had a great time. And I've played it where we have sat down and played every chapter, like in one go.
Wow.
And I've sat down and we've just done like 2 chapters, right? Because the amazing thing about this is it does its best to basically recreate Friday the 13th. But it not just the Friday the 13th 1, but also Friday the 13th 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. So it's like the first chapter, you're all these campers, you're showing up, And as you're exploring the spaces on the board, you're going to flip over a tile, and you might find a body. And then when you find a body, that's when stuff starts to get real. And then basically you're trying to find the key to a cabin so you can get into the cabin before the killer, the maniac as they call him, gets to you. And the maniac gets to you. Basically, the spots are almost like, I believe, Letters to Whitechapel, right? Where there's numbered spots.
Right.
And then so the players...
There's like 2 different types of
the
spots.
players will move through the blank circles.
Yep.
The killer, the maniac, will move through the numbered circles. So there might be more little blank circles, and the maniac might be able to move faster. But if he passes over them, they kill them. But then also when he does that, then you kind of reveal
where you're at.
Over here, right? And then after you finish the first chapter, everybody gets back to their houses, into a house safe for the night. Now the next chapter, they're trying to find the maniac. And so the maniac is now running from the counselors. And so then if the maniac survives that round, then he is going around trying to kill everybody. When they get to the last person that survives is the final girl, and then they're the one person that can kill the maniac, like in future chapters. Anyways, it builds up really well. No, it is not the greatest hidden movement 1v many game of all time or anything like that.
Wonder why you say that.
But it
Foreshadow.
but it definitely deserves to be ranked way higher than 3,406.
Sure.
It is a
That's
really
what I thought
fun, good experience, especially if you like horror movies.
And hidden movement.
Yeah, and it's really fun. I love the Game Master screen's got the thing for the eyes.
Bob, have you played this?
I haven't played. I've seen you guys
have
play
you played
multiple
it?
times.
No,
I
wanna play
haven't.
it
Man, Tim must
bad.
really like playing this game. He hasn't played it with any of us.
I play with people I like.
There you go.
Number 6, last Friday.
Okay. What were you gonna say? Sorry.
I want to stop recording and play it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh.
Too bad.
Like
not
now.
here.
It's good, dude.
I'm coming over
it's
after
fun.
filming.
Cool.
Okay.
So my number 6, I would be surprised if any of you guys have played.
I have.
It is ranked 1,807, and I believe it is pronounced Shin or Chin. It is the Chinese dynasty. The Shin,
pronounce it, doesn't
Shin
count.
dynasty.
Q-
Shin.
QIN?
Yeah, QIN. So there were a lot of publishing companies. So I'm just going to say Eggert Spiel, and this is actually a Reiner Knizia game. And in this game, it has been a really long time since I've played it, but I literally constantly think about how I want to play it again. Basically, it is an area control game, I guess. There's a big gridded board, and on your turn, you draw 3 tiles, and you place one of your tiles out, so like Carcassonne style, and the tiles are colored, so, red, blue, green, yellow, right? And then as you build up these areas, you take one of your pagodas and you place it out, and now you control that like band of yellow, and you can grow out that band of yellow. And if your yellow gets big enough, you can put a second pagoda on top, right? And if it gets big enough, you can put a third pagoda on top.
I think I've seen
right?
that before.
Yeah. But all the other players are also building, and so if you have a 3-layer pagoda and it runs into my 2-layer pagoda and they're both yellow, you take over my pagodas, right? You replace them with yours, I believe is how it works. Again, it's been years. It's been almost a decade probably since I played this. And the player who wins is the first player to get all their pagodas on the board. And that's the whole game. It's just you playing out tiles and building out and trying to control the areas with your pagodas. And I played it a bunch back then, and I loved it, man. I absolutely loved this little light area. Well, light might be the wrong term, but simplified area control game. And I always get it confused with that game right there. It is not that game.
Cascadia?
No, Pagoda.
Oh, Pagoda.
There's a game right there called Pagoda.
Oh, right there.
But yeah, so I don't know how easy it is to find and everything, but if that kind of stuff interests you and you like area control games, I actually really do recommend this one from 2012 called Shin. Something like that.
Okay. 2012. Nice.
All right, I guess I'll go ahead and throw one 2021 game on here because I
Join in the
I
crew.
Why are we
really-
even here, Dan? Are we the only ones that even tried?
I know.
Enjoyed this
No,
game.
listen, every underrated game came from about the last 3 years. Let's just be honest.
This is the only one on my list from 2021. I'm going to say it again because apparently it bears repeating.
Has it
I
got a
got
bear in it?
one more game.
It's
from 21.
ranked 2,205 from Atlas Games. The first time I got to play with this group, I got to play Lords of Hellas, then Dice Miner.
Yeah, Dice Miner.
Dice Miner is a really good dice drafting game.
I love it.
It only takes 30 minutes to play. There's variable player powers. There's different strategies. I mean, there's a lot of mechanics that you can use in dice drafting. But the simple fact that these dice kind of sit on what looks like sort of a mountain type structure, and you can only pull from the top, and then once that die is pulled,
gotta
that
have two sides
reveals
exposed,
additional
yes.
dice that you can draft. You kind of have to time when those dice will be available.
It actually simulates mining the dice.
It kind of
out
does.
the
You got to
mountain.
start from the top,
Wow,
work your way down. You're
theme.
mining for dice.
Start at
And
the top,
I just
now we're here.
enjoyed this filler with the variable player powers. You can play each game differently with every player power, and I was just super impressed with it.
Dice Miner's really good. I bought it from our game store and was like, guys, I want to play this and review it. And we played it, and I thought it was really fun, really
Sure,
good.
it could go higher, but I mean, I haven't seen a lot of people talk about it. It may never get above 1,000, so that's why
Yeah.
I thought it deserved to be on the
It
list.
definitely deserves to be on the list. I have it down as a honorable mention in case it didn't get mentioned,
Yeah.
so that I could.
Spencer really likes that game too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, don't. I mean, that's not a negative.
Hey, also, let's note the fact that I remember this game as one of the first games I ever played with this group.
Yep.
Hey,
So, I mean, it was so memorable,
And you
I
still
put
like
it
it.
on
Yeah.
my list.
and he's
I'm
still
here.
He still came
so
around.
They couldn't get
We
rid
are
of
a
me.
we are a tough group to put up with.
I find it
agree.
like a little too simple, I think, is what I said.
I mean,
in the review.
I do think that it could have more stuff, but for what you get, like
Sure.
in that box,
Yeah,
it's
and
very-
hey, an expansion or two down the road, I might be like, this is great.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
My-
fine. It's not bad.
My number 8, Lost Cities Rivals, is way more simple than Dice Miner. I like elegant short games. I like being
Yeah.
able to squeeze in 2 quick games
Well-
in between other
Well, you're
big
not
games.
elegant or short, so you,
Like me.
you make up for it.
Half
short. But you know what? Like, so Dice Miner, in a weird way, Dice Miner and like Nidavellir are like similar to me in my brain. But Nidavellir is easy to play, but has so much more like crunchiness to it that I think if Dice Miner could kind of reach some of that level of complexity, would just make that an amazing, like 10 times better even game. 10 times better than it already is, and I really like Dice Miner a lot.
Yeah.
But
For such a simple game with player powers and the building down or the digging up.
yeah,
from the
I
top
like the
bottom
dice too. The
aspect,
dice
that's
are cool.
unique.
The unique dice,
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
it's
Felt
really
good.
good. I like it. Have a beer. Give me that die.
Yep.
I'm gonna take.
Oh
two.
yeah, there's that. All right,
Top 5.
top 5.
Ooh, not ready for
So my number 5, my last game from 2021. Oh,
that. Come on, Dan, let's get out of here.
I know.
I
But
better
the thing
add
is, though,
another.
is this game is put out by, I like to say Elio, even though it's
Yellow.
yellow.
It is definitely
It is
yellow.
clearly
definitely
yellow.
ye- it's
The words are
clearly yellow.
even in yellow. I know you wouldn't know that.
Right. No, yellow's a color I do see. I just think Elio is a much cooler sounding word. And there's no
Sure.
Y in it.
But
Sure.
the E's before.
So make up whatever
He
word you
knows.
want. Blobbity bloop is
the
a much
I-
cooler
Much
word.
cooler word,
Where's that?
but not a publishing company. But no, the game's out everywhere, right? So I think that more
King
people
of
should.
Tokyo's
And it's
ranked in
got
the top
2,000 plus votes, but
Right.
it's still ranked 1,062, so barely meeting the
Ooh, okay,
criteria.
okay.
Oh,
Korra, Rise of an
Oh,
Empire.
this was. I wrote this down and then I was like, dang it, it's too new.
It's so good though.
Yeah,
it's like
it's
a
really
Civ
good.
city builder kind of thing, and you're like going up these tracks, and you're like managing all. It's such a good game, and like even for like lighter people who don't play a lot of games, like I've introduced this game to a lot of people, and they've really grabbed a hold of it, and like yes, this is a good game. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. It feels to me like a Civ builder, but they were like, you're only focusing on like this generation, so like it's so simplified and everything, you know.
yeah, but you're
like
like your income tracks, your like cultural track, military tracks, and you're doing your incomes and your taxes and stuff like that, and your game.
Fun.
Everybody loves income and taxes, right?
everybody.
But no,
loves.
it does it. It makes it. It's such a good game though. More
Yeah.
people should play it, and it's
It's,
got a great insert to it.
KHORA.
Yes, KHORA.
So if you want to look it
Yep.
up, but yeah, Korra man.
Like action
is so
selections,
good.
like you're rolling dice at the beginning, and then you're using those dice. Like depending on what you roll, you can do like your actions like 0 through 6, right? And you assign the dice to those actions, and then you can unlock another die, so you can get 3 actions per turn, and you can take those. It's so.
I need
cool.
to-
It's such
I
a
need to
great
play
game. You haven't
that.
played it yet at all?
No.
do.
Oh, you haven't played it
Wow.
at all?
Wow.
No.
Wow, that's crazy. I played it like 4 times.
Yeah.
I know. Well, you guys played it like a bunch, and then there was a day where I couldn't make it. I think Clark had like
And
flag
then we
football or
reviewed it.
something, and then it's like, well, just review it
Right.
because you guys have played it. Like, don't wait for me. Like, I want to get it out.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
Such
you
a
guys
good
spoke so
game.
highly of it.
I
but
think
yeah,
it's-
then it's
I
never
think you
come.
missed I think you missed your chance.
Yeah, probably never get to play it.
I honestly didn't touch it because I figured Bob would, but I played it once. I mean, and I've suggested playing it like 2 or 3 times since. Every time I've been to Bob.
Yeah, he's like, we can play Korra.
I didn't know Tim hadn't played it. That'd be a good game night.
That would be a good game night.
Never played it.
So hopefully I'll bring that the next meetup that we have here, and hopefully we can get it extended
Along with last
It's
Friday.
only like an hour. So
Yeah.
All right, Tim.
Right.
Here's where Tim scratches his head and makes a decision that should have been made ahead of time.
Listen, I am trying to provide a completely unique list from everybody else.
Well, it's not called
numerically fluid. Over
Best
here.
Complete List. It's called Top 10. I didn't say anything. Move on.
Yep.
You were saying.
So this game is pure chaos. I absolutely love it.
Oh,
I
God.
cannot wait to play it again.
I know what it is.
It is ranked.
Do I hate it?
Yes.
No, you love it.
Well,
2,609.
You
No,
wa-
you enjoy it.
He wants. Does he really?
He likes it. I don't know. You know what game I'm talking about.
I'm pretty sure I do.
That game right there.
Oh, that's not
Well,
it.
why
Yeah.
That's not
So, this game is so much fun.
It's a
It
good
is
game.
based basically on Tremors.
It is.
Oh, okay.
Terror Below.
Yes.
Super fun.
Well, love would be a strong word because I played it once,
Well,
but
sure.
I enjoyed
But we
it.
had a great
Yeah, It
time.
was a good time.
We had a great time when we played it.
We did.
I played this with Spencer. I was watching Spencer freak out like while we played it. It was so funny. This game is madness.
Yeah.
But you're running around trying to get the
graboids.
The graboids. You're trying to get their eggs. Fight the worms. You're also trying to make them pop up because they've got like tolerance levels for noise. Before then, they will erupt out, affect the board state, which puts
stone
rubble
and stuff
down.
everywhere. Yep.
And you could get hit by the stones, so you can knock people out. I mean, but they come back, but they might lose their items and stuff. And
Yeah.
oh my gosh, it's so much fun. There's crazy equipment and things like that you can get. It is just a wild, insane, stupid, fun game, and deserves to be way higher than 2,609.
That's true.
So Terror Below is my number 5. And thank you, Troy Gordon, because I picked up his copy
Okay.
off of him. You fool. It is mine now, and I'm never letting it go.
Okay.
Yep.
Hey, guys. My number 5. Who brought the Fago?
Oh, Bobby. Sorry, this is
I
too
did.
old to be on Bob's list.
No, actually, I actually had crossed out my number 3
Yeah.
and was gonna put that in there.
Yep.
So go ahead.
My number 5 came out in 2016. It is called Into the Echo Side, and it is ranked 10,420
Yeah.
by Psychopathic Records, which I assume is just the band's company.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the
Well, Bob would know. Why did I say?
And then designed by Robert Bruce and Lewis Simpson.
Sorry to call you Bruce.
Bruce.
And this is a pure deck builder that is themed in the ICP theming. And you hear that and you go, that's weird. And yeah, it is. But it is fantastic.
It's pretty good.
Like,
pretty good.
talk about a DC deck builder killer. Okay.
No kidding. It is.
Not even. It's got a completely useless mechanic in there.
I don't think it's useless, but
Underused.
it's
Underutilized mechanic.
sure.
The
I used it
wheel,
nonstop
The Wheel of
last
Fate.
time I played.
Yeah.
I used
Yeah,
it
but
constantly.
there's not enough stuff to allow you to do it. So when you are the only person
Yes,
that has the
it is
ability
true
to
that
do it,
if one person like focuses it, they will take all the cards and like everyone else kind of
out
can't
of
do it.
like
That's true.
That's
5
kind
of,
of like being Batman and somebody else takes all your equipments.
what, there's more than 5 equipment cards. There's only like 5 Wheel of Fate cards. Oh yeah, there's like
Depends on
20.
what edition you play.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we'll have to look into it. But it's honestly the thing that really did it for me. So yeah, obviously it has really striking art and everything, right? The theme,
It's great
the theme
art.
doesn't do
Yeah, it's
anything
really
for me,
good.
unlike Bob and Jason. The
Yeah.
theme does nothing for me. But the way that the factions work in this game, I think, is the best way factions have been implemented into a deck
They
builder.
work very
They
well
work
together.
so well together. They really, when you have an engine going with those guys, it really feels good. Better than any of the Ascension ones that I've done that have that. Better than DC Deck Builder, like I said. Better than Shards of Infinity has a faction mechanic as you're building up your deck. I just think that Into the Echo Side has done it the best by far. The game is like impossible to get and then really easy to get and
Yeah.
then impossible to get and then really easy to get, so you just kind of have to be paying attention.
Yeah.
You have to watch for when it is.
In stock.
Yeah.
Because you don't find a lot of them on the secondary market because I think people who buy it are usually into the ICP or whatever,
Right.
and they look for it and then they finally get it and they've got their copy, so they don't resell them back
And
out.
again, that would make this almost fall under underhyped, I guess, versus underrated because the thing is no one knows it exists.
Yeah.
And that's why it's 10,000.
Yeah, it only had 70 votes.
Because, again, if we look at, I think I said Dominion was like 111 or something, and then you look at Into the Exile being 10,000 something, that is purely because no one knows it exists.
Yeah.
This is a fantastic deck builder that just has an off-putting theme for people. So
people are scared of clowns.
Yeah. I mean, they're terrifying. But,
They
anyway, we'll see if it gets talked about later now that I went into it. But Into the Echo side, 100% when I saw it, I was like, yes, that is going on my list.
Nice.
Yeah. No.
My number 5 is a game that we all played together and talked about earlier today.
Terrible game.
Yeah.
Before Bob bought it at Gen Con, I'd never even heard of it. It came out in 2017. It's ranked 2,301.
Like, what did I buy?
It's published by Gigamic, and this is Galapagos.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That
Galapagos.
game was so fun.
Yeah, it's fine.
It is a co-op
I like Lifeboat
game
more.
until
No.
the food runs out. I just love that description.
I don't. No, from the jump, it was never a co-op game.
Well, that's because we were playing. The game is co-op. The players were aggressive.
Politicking came right out of the gate.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Did.
look at these guys going through the rubbish to get cards that'll only help them. Meanwhile, guys, I'm going fishing for like the 4th time in a row.
Yeah.
So
Hey.
don't vote me off this island. I'm putting in work, people.
I built every single one of those rafts. Okay? That's all I did. I had the axe. I was getting extra wood each time. That's all I did. That's like
you had an Axe 2 grind.
I did.
Yeah, so I just like that there's this quick 20, 25-minute semi-co-op game that gets people arguing about how much they've contributed to your group. Other people, meanwhile, are fishing for cards, and you're trying to get them voted off the island because maybe they drew a gun and they're about to point it at you.
Yeah.
And that could win them the game. But I just, these quick, easy games, I don't get why they're ranked so low. They may not be crunchy, but they provide fantastic experiences that we're still talking about. And I had never even heard of this game until you bought it at Gen Con.
Yeah.
And I'm like, huh?
Yeah, no, and I saw when I was going through it, it was like, I was like, oh, this game's way older than I thought it was.
Yeah,
And it was a
So-
random buy,
17?
too. I was getting a Turing Machine and Acropolis, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. And I just grabbed it.
Yeah, so I just really had a blast with it. Galapagos. You want a cheap, fun, semi-co-op game, I'd suggest it.
It was a good time.
Yep.
All right, number 4.
Number 4.
Currently ranked 4,721. Released in 2016.
Ooh, Bob.
But it only has 376 votes because not enough people know about Gore Chosen.
Yeah.
This is such a good skirmish game, and I wanted Mike to be able to play it way down at Gen Con. So underrated, underhyped game.
I am so happy this is on a list.
Right? Like, Tim literally had his head cut off and then stood up and hit Pete. That was fantastic. How many games do you get your head cut off, still get to stand up and have like one last death blow taken at somebody?
That is not a death row.
It's just a flesh wound.
Yeah. Now, the biggest downside of this game is some assembly required.
Yeah, and hard to get. But yeah.
It can be hard to find. But yeah, you do have to assemble the pieces, and not everybody has a Pete to paint all of their pieces as beautifully as he has done for us.
Yes.
But the way that the combat works, so you have a rage track, and the angrier you get, the more initiative cards you shuffle into the deck, and then you shuffle them in, and you're flipping them over, so you never know whose turn's coming up next. But the angrier you are, the more you get to attack and fight back. But then once you do your big release attack, then your hate will come down a little bit, so you pull some of your initiative cards out of the deck, so the next turn you're not going to get as many actions. And you can like push people into the terrain. Oh my gosh, it's so much cool stuff you can do. It's a little tiny skirmish, and we've had so much fun and so much laughter over this game. Criminally underrated.
Yeah, again, for me, I don't tend to love skirmish games. I had a good time when I was playing it because it falls under dumb fun for me, right?
Oh, yeah,
like,
totally
it doesn't
dumb
take
fun.
itself seriously.
He had his head cut off, and he stood back up.
My only issue I had with the game, and it could have just been the character I chose, it could have just been I wasn't understanding the deck and everything, but it was just really because direction matters, and
you're
it's
facing
really
everything.
hard to
It
control
is.
facing in that game.
Yeah.
Like again, it could have just been the character I chose was all about rushing, and I wasn't exactly sure how to do that. But but when I was playing, I was just like, man, I can't hit anything because my guy's constantly facing the wrong direction.
Dance in the corner like running into the wall.
Exactly. But dumb fun for sure.
Great game.
Oh, so much fun. So much fun. Okay. That's okay.
That's okay.
So my number 4, I'm going to have to shout out to our buddy.
Yeah, I saw
Ron.
that on there.
Halliday.
I almost made my list too. I figured Tim.
I am not a huge roll and write guy, even though there have been some that have come out that have blown me away.
Yep.
But ranked criminally at 46.
Yeah.
Seven Bridges.
So good.
Seven Bridges is really good. It is an excellent roll and write based on the map of a town. That has 7 bridges, and you are the die that you're rolling are basically lines that you can draw on your map.
Lines, curves, T's,
And,
just little.
and so you are trying to now basically have this continuous line around as you're traveling through this town. One of the things is to, because the whole riddle is, can you cross all 7 bridges without doubling back?
Right. Cross
No.
the path. Yeah, no, you can't. It's
But-
literally mathematically impossible.
But it's really interesting because Ron is a cartographer, you know what I mean? So he made a game about a map. Fantastic. But you're going to get points for walking past parks, you know, and walking and sightseeing and walking past different things. You're going to get points for bridges that you've crossed and things like that. And it just presents this really tough conundrum as you're going, because you can't double back, and you're like, I guess I'll go this way. I guess I'll spend this line over here and
It's
do
like a
this.
roll and write without numbers.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat.
Yeah, it's really neat. It's really ingenuitive, you know, hadn't played anything like it. And that was we stumbled upon that and was just like, that's really cool. I really enjoyed it.
You guys have
So,
talked about it a lot. I think you should have put it at number 7, though.
7 Bridges should have been at number 7.
Uh-huh.
What was my number 7? Oh, yeah, Judge Dredd. Cool.
Cool.
Daniel.
My number 4 came out in 2019. Ooh, getting modern.
Is that even old enough to be people?
I
know.
I know.
Though?
Well, Bob, this is a Phalanx Games game.
So no. Oh yes.
And I think I think you're gonna have one on your list as well. I think
No.
No. Okay.
No.
I thought that a different game was.
No,
Phalanx.
it's not.
Okay.
No, it's Nightingale.
Gotcha. Yeah.
War
Okay.
Room.
But anyway, you are a spoiling spoiler.
Nobody would have noticed if you guys both hadn't gone, "Boo!"
Yeah, no one would have heard your talking, but they would have seen our movement.
We talked earlier how your mic is like 8 times louder than everybody else.
Ranked at 1,209 is U-Boot,
Yep.
the board game.
Haven't played it. I would
I know.
love to rate this.
So this was, like I said, published by Phalanx Games and designed by Artur Sawarowski
Yep,
and
that's him.
Bartosz Pluta.
Yeah,
Yes.
also him.
Dang.
Sorry,
Oh, you're
guys.
Dan.
So this isn't even a game. This is a simulator,
Yeah.
and it is amazing. Okay, guys, so first of all, you all take out your role, right? Okay, you're the captain, you're the engineer, you're the cook, right? And you all have your little asymmetric player board thing. So the cook is like playing a little spatial game where he's choosing the foods that are going to be turned into the meals for the next day, right? The engineer is obviously like fixing the ship and doing that. The captain is controlling morale and everything like that. You have a giant 3D submarine on your table.
Yeah.
Like it's a 3D, like, you know, cut out, put it together.
Cardboard,
Yeah.
skeleton.
Oh, that's what
like,
3D
yeah,
means.
yeah.
Got it.
Well, it's not like metal, right? Like,
Sure.
obviously, but I wanted to say that. And so it's like cut out so you can move your guys around inside the ship because you're actually having to move around. So like if you go up on top of the deck to like get a cigarette break,
Right.
you
Or to use
literally
your,
or to use the binoculars.
Binoculars.
Right. Well, you could be inside the submarine to use a periscope.
That's how they typically work.
All submarines broken.
But like you actually, put your guys up there, and that matters because where you are is you have
Yeah.
to, like, if an emergency happens, you have to rush to the emergency and stuff, and also you can't dive if anyone's on top taking a break and
Well,
stuff,
you
right?
can.
And then the best part, when you use the periscope, it's an app game, and you actually hold your phone up like this, and you see as if
What
you were
you
looking
see.
through a periscope, and
Yeah.
you stand in the room and you look around, and you have to range things. You have to look and be like, and use the little grid and be like, 450 yards, like that way, or meters, right? Whatever you would say. I was navigator when I played. I had to.
course.
I spent a week leading up to the game learning how to actually use the like compass things that
Yeah.
they use to plot courses because I had to actually like
That's moving this
I had to
direction
actually
at this
like
speed,
transfer the millimeters.
trajectory.
Yeah, I had to. So I had to
Yeah.
look at. Are we submerged? Are we deep submerged? Because you go
Faster
you
or
go
deeper.
faster or whatever, right? And then I have to convert the millimeters on my thing to how many like feet, are miles per hour and stuff that we're moving, and
Knots.
I had to, our knots and everything, right? And I had to tell Bob, okay, we should reach our destination in 3 hours. And so we're traveling and we're paying attention to our timer, and when we get close to the 3 hour mark, we surface and we see where we are if we're close to, and like. It is one of the best gaming experiences I've ever heard. Ever had. I cannot wait to play again. I mean, it blew my mind how just realistic and into it we got in this game, and we just did half the tutorial.
Yeah,
like
it was intense.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
But that's U-Boot.
I'm glad you put that on there. That's awesome.
So I would say that the ranking is probably related to the barrier of entry.
Oh, for sure,
Okay.
Yeah.
for sure. But
But
do
it's I say that and it sounds like I own a copy of it because it just sounds fascinating
Yeah.
to me and something that I want to do.
Okay,
Top that.
So my number 4 is going to be one of 2 fairly big IPs on my list. This is Gale Force 9, who published it, of course.
So the
Which
artwork is
one?
questionable.
Actually, we'll get into that. That's funny. Woo! This came out in 2014. It's ranked 1,050.
okay.
And this is Sons of Anarchy, Men of Mayhem.
Okay.
Oh.
This is a game
Never watched the
of
show.
I've actually
money,
heard really good things.
guns,
Okay.
and
Pete loves
violent
it.
consequences. This game's really good,
Yeah.
people. This is a good game. Now, if I told you that a game that had a violent theme where motorcycle gangs are selling drugs
Right.
and there's going to be battling, but then
Well,
I
and
also
there's like
told
locations
you,
in the game that are like strip clubs,
but then
right?
I told you that it has worker placement and a variable market from 2014 with that theme on it, you go, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This game was so ahead of its time. So it's essentially a worker placement game. You've got 9 tiles out on the board, and these are like Dan mentioned, they're brothels or they're bars or they're strip clubs, and you're going in there and you're kind of you're extorting.
Being a bad dude.
You're being a bad guy from a motorcycle club, extorting these locations for the resources.
Not all guys from motorcycle clubs are bad people. Continue.
Correct.
No, but the ones that extort are.
You start with just 3 locations. As the game goes on, you reveal more of them. But what's really unique about this game is you move to a location. That's an action.
Checks out.
So then somebody else moves to the same location.
Oh,
You want to use that location, don't you? You can't. It's under contention.
you got to fight.
So you could go do something else, but eventually you got to fight over it to use that location. Why has nobody else used that mechanic? Like that to me is like, wow, there should be more games that do that. What game has you fight over a worker placement location? Now, let's say you win the battle.
Godfather.
I thought the no, there's no battling. I mean, you can kick people out, but there's no
Yeah.
actual, hey,
Sure.
all right, I'm going to add up the strength from my leaders plus
Fair.
my soldiers. Then I'm going to roll
Mob.
a D6. Then I'm going to roll a D6. I've also got guns behind my private screen. Each one I use, one of you guys is going to die.
I hope you have a conceal and carry license for those.
No, he's a bad
If
dude.
it's hidden behind
Oh.
oh yeah, that's true.
Whoever wins the battle can then exploit the location. Now, here's the other thing most worker placements don't do. At the end of the round, most worker placements, all right, get your
Dwarves
dudes
come
back.
home.
Get your dudes back. No, they stay. So if you're still
I'm in
there,
this bar, man. I'm
you're
staying.
going to get to use it again. If you're on the best location on the map, you're just going to camp out and
Right,
keep
until someone
taking
fights you for
until
it, yeah.
somebody forces you out of that spot. And that just makes it so
See,
fascinating
I see
to
that
me.
Sons of Anarchy on there, and I was like, I just figured cheese.
I've never
you know.
watched the show.
No, again,
also.
and this game is really highly regarded by
But it
people.
kind of makes me
It
now want to
is.
watch
It's
the show.
criminally
Like from the
underrated
people I've
to
heard.
me. It's got variable player powers. Every different club plays differently. You have a 5th player expansion that you can get, and it's got plastic components. I mean,
Tim's in.
everything is behind a screen. So I like games where
Hidden
you're doing a
information.
bunch of stuff with money. You can even negotiate in this game, and you could offer somebody money not to fight you, but money is how you win the game. And the fact that you're negotiating with your victory points, I always find intriguing in any game I ever play. Like the fact that I'm willing to give up victory points to get more victory points a different way. But the contraband, the guns, they're all secret. They're all nice plastic components. They're behind a screen, so you have no idea what people have. And then that variable market, just real quick, is you put as many contraband into your hands secretly and reveal. The more of them there are, the less they're worth. So you're also trying to figure out, okay, Tim's got a bunch of those contraband behind the screen. I just know it. So if he tries to flood the market, I don't want to sell anything this round. You know, so there's that kind of that variable market is really interesting, and I think it's the theme that hurts this game. It's a very adult theme, and nobody expects a Euro game out of a motorcycle game club.
I'm in.
I've had a blast with it.
You son of a bitch.
That's my fault.
I'm in.
All right.
Sounds good, man.
Yeah.
Good
I might have to
pitch.
check that out. Yeah, right? I was like, I'm willing to check it out now.
Yeah.
All right. So my number 3, I was going to call an audible, but then Dan went ahead and mentioned the game that I was going to audible
Blue
for.
32.
So I'm going to go ahead and stick with my original number 3. Ranked at 1,850, released in 2009 with 2,537 votes. Axis and Allies, Spring 1940.
We knew one of them was going to be there.
There were so many of them. I was like, okay, well, that's the best one. So I put that
Honestly,
one.
I forgot there was a whole game series that I wanted to put one on my list to mention, and I didn't, so we'll see
Okay.
if Tim did.
Okay. But no, so there's so many different Axis and
No,
Allies
probably not.
versions. There's like Pacific, there's the European, there's a lot of different ways you can play. Old versions, new versions. The Spring 1942 version, in my opinion, is the best one. They've actually done tournaments using that with some different like setup rules to help a little bit of the balance. They found that the original setup didn't quite do well. There's a version online that I play quite a bit that's really, really good. But man, if you love World War II games, like the miniatures on this stuff, like you have aircraft carriers, and your little planes will land on the aircraft carrier, and you can move it around.
With your fireplace tweezers.
No, you don't need tweezers. You can just use your fingers. But no, it's so good. It's so well balanced, and it's so. I love it. I play this game online. If you see me on Steam, I'm probably on.
You're
this
probably
game.
in 3 different games of it with different
Yeah,
people.
well, but no, it's really, really good. And like I said, check it out. If you love war games, check it out. Play it. Get on there, rank it higher because it should be higher than that.
I really do need to play it at some point because like it's just the time commitment that scares me. But like
it could be a
also
long
I play
time.
Twilight Imperium, so
Sure.
like
And that's the thing, if you're worried about the time commitment, you can always like play it online. And it's one of
Yeah.
those things where it's like you take your turn because sure,
but if I play it
the first turn
online,
can take a while.
I have to buy it. If I play it in person, you already bought it.
Fair. but online, it's super cheap online too.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
And then you can take your turn, you hit send, right? And then another person's going to get a notification when they have time. They go over, they take their turn, they hit send, and then
Yep.
so it's super convenient. Yeah, yeah.
So that's your
Dan
number
took his
3.
turn. Yeah, that is my number 3.
My number 3 is we talk a lot about games that provide amazing experiences.
Mm-hmm.
This is a game that I am excited because we will soon own it whenever the Kickstarter delivers.
Okay.
I don't think this is on your list.
No.
At 11:47, this game is unlike any other. It is stupid, insane, and chaotic,
Yeah, a little dexterity based.
and dexterity based. Dungeon Fighter.
Yeah.
Dungeon Fighter, you are playing as a hero. You're trying to defeat the monsters, but depending on the character you're playing and cards that you draw, you literally are chucking dice onto like a bullseye.
Yep. It's
and
literally a
depending
bullseye.
on where the die lands and the value of it. But there are
Determines your success.
yes, but there are cards where it's like you
Throw
must
behind your back.
behind your back
Bounce it off the
with your
board.
eyes closed, has to bounce off the backboard. Like so, you
it-
set the
it's a-
box up behind the target, and you've got to bounce it
Use it
off
like a
there.
backboard.
Yeah.
It's
Like
just so many
elbows on the
goofy
table.
things.
You know what I mean? Like all kinds of stupid.
Under the leg.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
It is.
It's so much fun. Now, people that need to control every aspect of the game are not going to like it.
Nah.
Dungeon Fighter is stupid fun. I have never had a bad time playing it.
Yep.
It's really hard.
Could be delivering soon. I actually got my notification a little bit ago saying
Woo!
like locking down the address. So
Yeah.
it typically means the next month or two.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Dungeon Fighter is super good. They just did a Kickstarter like 2 years ago, year and a half ago.
Year and a half ago.
To reprint it. And
Reprint it
they
and do
add
some new ones.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
different editions and stuff.
I haven't played it.
Yep.
You will.
You will.
And
I
you'll
think
hate it.
it's,
Well, you might like it.
pretty good
It's
fun.
pretty fun.
I don't see
It's
why
pretty
I would hate it. Yeah.
No, you'd have a good
It's
time.
not going to be like my favorite, but I'd be like, oh.
Yeah, no,
Fun.
we would all
Have
like
a good time.
That would be a fun live play, like to
Yeah,
watch,
yeah.
to have people
Right.
to
Yeah.
see how bad
See
we
how
are.
un-
big
well,
Well, we know how
Mike is.
I am very good at rolling dice off a table. So
Yes.
who knows?
Yeah,
Nailed
that's
it.
true.
Sounds like there's a dexterity element to it.
Oh, that's the whole
totally.
game.
Did
Whole
the
game
part
is
where we were
dexterity.
saying how it's
You guys
dexterity
are
based.
You're screwed.
You're
must
throwing
know.
dice.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What's cooperative?
Don't. Okay.
Then
Everybody but
then
my
you
teammate
guys
is
are
screwed.
awesome. You guys are great.
Just don't play me in
Okay, my number 3.
Crokinole.
Guys, we're at number 3, and this is the first crossover, right?
Is it
That was I crossed over there. Yeah, ish.
Dungeon Fighter?
No, what I'm saying is we haven't had a crossover
No crossover
right?
yet.
Not really. No.
Yeah, so
Wow.
this
I've
is
been trying
it.
to dodge crossover.
Okay, guys, ranked 1,989. Who said that number before?
1989 wasn't me.
Not me.
Well, might have wrote down the wrong number. Came out in 2019. This is Court of the Dead Mourner's Call.
Oh, I got 1990.
It moved.
It might have moved. That's crazy.
Wow. People are reacting to our
It's
video
gotten
already.
better. It's gotten better.
Or worse, depending on who went first.
He probably went
We're
first.
affecting people in the future.
I did
So-
most of mine yesterday, so he
Okay.
probably went
Not
first.
now, but now.
Okay, so this is by Project Raygun and the Op. I don't know what the
Yeah.
Op had to do with it.
I don't know. Maybe distribution.
Yeah, but
Maybe.
and designed by Patrick Marino. If you didn't say that last time, but
I
yeah,
did
he
not.
already went into it. Court of the Dead, Mourner's Call. I love this game. Just a fantastic.
So
game.
good.
Yeah, a great game with a great production quality.
This game could have been my
a
number
great
one.
table presence. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
a great game.
Could have been my number one underrated.
Yeah, yeah.
Really.
I mean, it made it to my top 3.
Yeah.
It's so good. It is so flipping good.
Mike?
Michael.
Okay, so my number 3 is my other game that has
It's your other game.
I have 2. I burnt my collection.
by the popular.
Cubidos and this one, apparently.
Yeah.
That's
By
two
the
games he owns.
popular,
Nova.
it's like a popular IP or whatever you were
Yeah,
saying.
this is the other game I have that is a much more popular IP. It came out in 2017 and it's ranked 2,109.
Candyland.
So
Have we not talked
of
about
the evergreen games that are out there, like Ticket to Ride, if you've watched the other video, you know I don't
It's fine.
enjoy that game.
I'll play with my family.
I also don't enjoy Carcassonne. That leaves Catan, which I love. I enjoy Catan.
Yeah, I do too.
If you haven't figured out, I love games where you can trade and things are negotiable. And the fact that such an old Euro game introduced that, I only played it 4 years ago. I was like, oh, look at this old dry Euro that I won't like. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, I like Catan.
But
It's Caton, but that's fine.
What?
get out of here.
I was like, what?
But my favorite version of Catan I played earlier this year,
Oh.
and it's a Game of Thrones Catan.
Oh,
Yeah.
Of the Watch.
I almost had this on my list.
This was what year was this?
This came out in 2017.
Yeah, this was. I definitely wrote this down, and I must have erased it for something else.
It's Fantasy Flight Games. I think what hurts it is that it's got a $79 MSRP.
Oh.
It's
Yeah.
hard to find
It's 'cause
under
of-
$60.
It's because of all the minis for
It's
the
got
wall and
plastic
everything.
Yeah.
components.
Yes.
It's got a cool white snow-covered board.
Damn.
It's got a semi-cooperative element where you're fighting wildlings on the other side of the wall.
Well, on that, people on the north side of the board are.
That's the thing that I liked about it so much was that it really is just Next Step Catan because it's Catan
Yeah.
and then the wall stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
It
and
is.
it is just a better version
It is.
of Catan.
And I enjoy
sure.
Catan enough that
It
that's
is.
all you had to add to it for me to go, wow, this is my favorite version of it.
Yeah.
So I also like that there's
So good.
the guys that you can put on top of the wall, another thing that you add that scores you victory points at the end of the game.
Yep.
So, yeah, I
I,
like that
I am
a lot.
so glad to hear you love this game because
I do.
I think
Awesome.
it's great.
Yeah.
I like Catan anyways.
I do.
But the Game of Thrones Catan is like I would just say
One of the better versions of it.
Yeah.
I would just say oh let's play Catan. I'd be like, have you tried Game of Thrones
Right.
Catan? Like let's play
especially
this.
because so something like the best version of Catan, Starfares. So something like that is maybe too big of a next step for someone who
yeah,
likes
but
Catan.
I think that's different
But-
enough that it's not just
Right,
Catan,
but that's what I'm
right?
saying.
This
Like,
one's
but
more like
Game of
Catan.
Thrones
Yeah.
is definitely the middle ground where it is just a pure upgrade to Catan, but
Yes.
it's not crazy.
Well said.
Like
it
Starfares.
it is a straight up upgrade, not
Good
a
base Catan.
similar theme game with some overlapping mechanics.
Right.
Yep. All right.
So
Yeah,
that was
nice
my number
pick.
3.
Good pick.
I love it.
Game
I like
of
it.
Thrones Catan.
I love it. That's such a good pick.
Number 2, Tim.
Hi.
You want to spoil this some more since you spoiled it earlier?
Yeah, Equinox.
At
It's
3,257.
Wait, you can't fight in here.
Hadrian's Wall.
No. Released
were-
in
it is.
2019.
I know
with
why we can't
only
fight in
396 votes, probably because it's very difficult to get, although the new Kickstarter is fulfilling right now War Room.
Also barrier to entry.
Yes. Also
Oh
a barrier.
God, I want to play this game so bad.
I want to play War Room so
I don't even
bad.
want to play I want to play for 10 minutes so I can push some units around.
I mean, he's like, okay, I'm good.
No, I want to play War Room so bad, Bob. This
It's
looks
so
amazing.
good.
Yeah.
Looks
Like,
so amazing.
I was gushing about Axe and Allies earlier, because the minis on it are so good, and I think it's a little bit more accessible because, one, it's easier to find, and two, looking at it, it just makes more sense than a standard, I can move these guys 1 space, these guys move 2 spaces type of fare, whereas War Room is like I used to say Axe and Allies is Risk on crack. War Room is like Axe and Allies on crack because
Right.
it's just so much more in depth. You got the morale track, you've got railroads you can move pieces on. You are gaining your resources. You literally like are bidding oil to see who gets to move first. All the spaces have like numbered and whatnot, and you're gonna say and all of your infantry, all your stacks. So it's like this stack here is like, oh, the 32nd Infantry or the 82nd Airborne, and you're writing down, okay, 82nd Airborne to J5, this piece to J6, and it's just amazing the way all of like everything moves together. You can pin units down. So like if you want to go first and you let this guy's going to invade your territory, you can bring troops in from the other area by bidding a bunch of oil first and pinning those guys down so they can't leave that area. So amazing.
I was going to ask how simultaneous all the movement was in that answer.
Yeah, because everybody's planning at the same time on their dry erase boards, and then you're bidding oil. And so if you're bidding to go first, you're not going to have it to
so you're basically
construct stuff
bidding
either.
for initiative.
Yes, and then so you reveal who bid how much. If you bid the most, you get to move all your stuff first, and then if you get stuck and pinned down, then you won't be able to move out of certain areas.
I was
It's
hoping it would
amazing.
have like a diplomacy
Aspect to it?
aspect where everybody writes down their move. Like so, diplomacy really is you spend an hour or two negotiating on where you're going to move.
Yeah.
Then everybody writes down what their move is. Then you reveal it, realize that you've been betrayed by everyone
Yes.
around you. All of those moves happen simultaneously. So you may vacate an area while they come in.
I see.
You may move into it. You know what I mean?
Sure,
I mean, I think that basically does happen in War Room, but it's not a mechanic. It's just that you guys can talk,
No,
right?
because you're allies, right?
No,
So
well,
you're talking. No, you
diplomacy,
are.
you're allies.
Okay, well.
but like, there's also sort of that Game of Thrones like backstabby thing.
Sure, there's no backstabby.
But so the way the movement, it's sort of like in Game of Thrones. Also, when you reveal when everybody
Right.
reveals
Reveals
what
their
they're going to do, and they're
tokens,
like, "Hey, you've got a march there."
Yeah.
Like,
Wait a minute.
yeah. So, anyways, please
But
continue.
no,
It still sounds great. I just
and it's so cool. So like, and as you do your construction, like because you're building your units, also you're gonna put them kind of under upside down underneath your little industry thing, and people can come in and take that territory over. Then when those things roll off the assembly line, you're gonna lose control of them because now somebody else controls that territory. So it's like you got to really kind of be careful and protect your assets that way.
Cover your
and
assets.
You got to cover your assets. And another neat thing about it is like. Whereas the Axis and Allies has like, oh, there's a Pacific board game, there's the European board game, there's the Eastern Front board game.
Oh, right.
This one, it's like it's all in one game. So while you get the whole thing in one box, they've got different scenarios you can play through for like a
different
2-player,
armies and
3-player.
stuff.
Yeah, well, it's like if you're doing 2-player, you're just doing, most of Germany and Russia, and you're kind of doing that front. If you want to do 3-player, you can do, part of Britain and part of America trying to take out Japan, or you could do the whole shebang and do everything all at once.
Right.
And there's just so much you can do with this game, and just the production value is so cool. Like, it's funny because like so many of the Axis and Allies, they've got like these battle boards, but like I never use them. We don't really need them. But in this game, it's so complicated. There's so much going on. You finally have to use the battle boards because you get to choose like, oh, I want these tanks here on offensive, so I have a higher chance of hitting, but their defense value is going to be lower. I can have my troops be on offense or defense to either increase their attack or increase their defense. And so there's just so many options that you can make and so much stuff you can do with this game. Get out there and play it. And I wish I could play it online just so it's just easier and I could do it more often because it is kind of a time commitment, but it is so cool.
Yeah, this game has 3 A pluses for me. World War II game.
Yep.
If I am correct on this one, because I've only seen pictures, round board.
Yes.
Right? That is so huge for me, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
War Whispers.
Yeah.
And
The push
moving
sticks.
units with
Yeah.
your flat-ended sticks like you see in the movies
Yeah.
when they're like strategizing and they're like pulling their
Like they're
units
in
and
the
pushing them.
War room?
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. Oh my gosh,
So
it looks
cool.
so cool.
Yeah, like we literally Justin came over and we set it up on my hot tub, and we were standing out there because I could leave it set up for a couple days, so he
Right.
came over a couple times, and we would just like move and do our plans and push the sticks. And what's neat too is like you have a player board, so that way you're not like making it real obvious when you're
Right.
talking about things. You can take your ally outside and be like, okay, well if we go here and do this, and
Right.
yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Someday.
Oh man, so I'm over here just
Still
there's so
trying
many-
to pick. Tim's
No,
had an hour and 40 minutes.
Here's
to-
the,
Yeah, it's been that
here's
long.
the thing. I am trying really hard to avoid crossover. And I think it's
Sure.
going to have to happen because some of these, there's not enough time, and some of these games must be talked about.
Well, we'll have some honorable mentions.
Yeah, but I'm not going to give them the in-depth that I
Right.
will. So, to just draw proper attention to a fantastically underrated game, 1,210.
Hold on.
You ready to get your prediction? No.
Okay, good. I guess you would be the one I thought we would cross over with
Oh,
this.
well, it might be higher. I was hoping we'd cross over the same number.
Oh,
Anyway.
No.
is that the one you were looking at?
No.
Okay. Dead Man's Draw from Mayday Games.
Oh, okay.
Criminally underrated. This game should get way more love.
It's an honorable mention.
It is very straightforward. You basically you draw a card off the top of the deck and you do what it says. And what you're trying to do is there's push your luck, where you're going to keep drawing cards, but you cannot repeat suit, right? And so some cards actually force you to draw. Some cards will allow you to look at the top card to decide then if you want to keep drawing. And then at any time you can stop if you haven't busted. Now you get those cards, you put them in your bank, and then you stack them up by suit with the highest number on top. So then maybe Dan then gets the cannons, and he's going to be able to now blast the top card off of one of those stacks. And the awesome thing is you do the action on the card as they come out. So even if you don't get to bank it, you still do all the things that the card says, right? All the abilities. And there's a ton of abilities. The game, you can play the game straightforward, no problem. But there's also a ton of variants and asymmetric player powers and things like that you can do.
There's like a bunch of cards in the game that just change how endgame scoring works.
Yeah,
and it just changes the game.
Yeah, there's a ton of replayability in this awesome just little box card game. And this is a top 500 game very easily. And I think if more people have seen it and played it, that it would get the attention it deserves.
I just love that this was one of the first games I owned. I just bought it because it was a small little card game, and I was like, I don't have a lot of money. I'm trying to build up a collection. I'll get this. And I have played that game so many times in my
great,
life.
Man.
So many times.
It's a great game. So, yeah, that is my number 2, Dead Man's Draw, 12-10.
All right.
My number 2, Mike, you called it, is ranked 14,015. Came out in 2019, and it's called Wolves of Mercia.
Thank God this is getting mentioned.
Yeah, talked about it a million times. This is published by Brybelly and designed by John Leo, and this is just a...
I thought this might be your number 1.
This is unfortunately just a little-known social deduction game that takes a lot of the key elements of Werewolf and stuff like that and just makes it better. It makes it cleaner. It just, I don't know. It's just better, man.
I would say that Dan is responsible for at least 4 people I know playing this game, myself included.
True.
No, it is a great game.
I watched people play it on YouTube once, and I instantly, after watching the video, I was like, I'm buying that game, and I bought it, and then I took it to a Meeple event, and I showed people, and everyone was like, okay, where do you buy that? You know?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so it's a social deduction game, right? Werewolf-themed, so there's going to be, but the thing is in it is everyone has their own win condition. There's no villager roles, right? So if Tim's the werewolf, he has his thing. If Mike and I are cultists, that's the only one that has, like a bunch of teams. Well, the Lovers and Lonely Heart thing is there too,
sure.
but mainly there's the cultist, the werewolf, and then everyone else has their own win
Yeah,
condition.
there could be like an arsonist in there. There's all kinds of stuff going on.
There's a small player board that some players interact with and do stuff. There's a deck of cards that some players get their own card that they hand out. My favorite one in the game is the Inquisitor, and his whole ability is he has 2 cards. There's like an information card and a blank or something like that. And basically, I hand them to someone that I want to know something about. So Tim will shuffle it. Oh, no, it's just an Inquisitor card. You shuffle it with your roll card.
Oh, right.
That's what it is. And then he hands me the one. So I have a 50-50 chance. I either learn his roll or I just get my information card back. And
I
so
love.
you're
Is it
just
the Gravedigger where you can
slowly
swap
handing
rolls
that
with a
out.
dead player?
Grave Robber.
Grave
I
Robber.
think.
Yeah. I mean, there's
Gravedigger.
just crazy fun things.
I love Martyr because I love hearing it on the recording. Wake up. If you're dead, you win. Right? But yeah, just a fantastic game. It only takes place 5 nights max. I have never seen it go all 5 nights, so it's a pretty short game. The only reason it takes a kind of long time is because of how the roles are designed in the game to where you don't know which roles are in the game. That's the whole point. You have to go through every role every night. So you have to, even ones if you know that the arsonist isn't in the game because they haven't done anything the whole game, you still have to wait the 15 seconds for it to go, arsonist, wake up, take your cubes, and blah, blah, right? Like, you still have to sit through that even though it's like everyone knows. So then at that point, everyone can just talk over the recording and be like, hey, so we know this guy's not here. Tim's clearly evil. All right, we can talk like that. But Wolves of Mercia, if you like social deduction, especially one that you can play in, I don't know, a little over an hour because of the recording. Yeah, I'm just saying because of the recording. The recording itself, having to play every night, is going to take up a lot of the game, honestly. But yeah, just a really good game where you have a day roll and a night roll. You get one night action, one day action, and yeah, you're all just talking and everything.
Yeah, it's good.
I do feel bad that I felt like your first game didn't go great. I hope you still enjoyed it.
No, I don't think it went bad at all. I just think there's more layers to the strategy in that game than what I expected.
Sure.
While it does have similarities to Werewolf, this is several steps up because in my first game, I had no idea how to bluff. So there are layers to the bluffing in that game, and I enjoyed it. And in fact, on Friday, I pointed at it on my shelf, and I'm like, Dan, you got to talk about this game. I looked it up. It's ranked like 14K plus.
And I just brushed it off. I was like, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. and so with only one play, I didn't feel comfortable actually putting it on my list because I don't understand the layers of strategy yet. There are layers of strategy to
For
this
sure.
small
And I
box
tend to prefer
game.
that in social deduction. There's a reason I like Blood on the Clock Tower and Wolves of
And I do
Mercia. I don't
too.
like the random point chaos as much.
I
Same.
do, and I also like the additional layers, but I don't know them yet, so I wasn't ready to put it on my list. But I enjoyed it. I bought it because they've been talking about it for months. I finally got to play it, and I liked
That's been
it.
talked about on our show.
So that's another person that Dan has gotten
That-
to purchase game.
Yeah. So, yeah, great choice. My number 2 I had on our 5+ list.
Ooh, so garbage.
This was published in 2019 by Gap Closer Games. It's ranked 2,108, which I thought was great because
you just had 2,109, right?
Yes, it's one step above. It's only one game better than a Game of Thrones Catan on BGG and on my list. That's Rival Restaurants.
Oh, never played it.
Yeah, I haven't played it. I
you
want to.
haven't.
I see you look at box around like everywhere.
I know, because it is a great gateway game, but it can also be a great gamer's game because it's a really simple trading game, and I love trading and negotiating. It forces interaction. So you're just running a restaurant, and you've got to acquire ingredients that match your recipe cards. Well, the problem is that all of the veggies are on this side of the board, all the meats are on this side of the board, all the carbs are on this side of the board, and on your turn, you can only go to one of those locations. So you buy an ingredient, then you look what other people are buying, and you're like, oh, you can get meat. You can get beef for $300. I need beef for you. Were you going to buy that? I'll give you $500 if you buy it now, or I'll give you my lettuce, which I don't need. There's just that really good table talk interaction that a good negotiating game needs to have. It supports up to 8 with the Kickstarter, 6 with the base game. It plays in an hour. It's super easy to play. I just can't. I need more people to play Rival Restaurants. I was a huge fan of this game. I need more people to play it. I'm just going to keep talking it up until we play this game.
Oh, we'll play it.
I
now
don't
I'm
think
out.
I've heard a truer statement than I will give you the lettuce I don't need.
Yeah.
Here. That's like the truest thing I've ever heard.
Now give me the beef.
Words to live by.
Yeah.
There's different restaurants that have different powers. The more points you get, you unlock more stuff. There's take that cards that you can buy out of the island. There's upgrades you can buy for your restaurant. It's a pretty neat game, and I think it deserves more love. And I love trading games.
All right, my number 1.
Number 1, Bob.
Number one.
Man, I thought Mike was going to nail it, but then he didn't. Ranked 1,878, released in 2019, with only 946 votes. Catan Starfarers. The best implementation of Catan.
And I haven't played it yet.
It's by
so
far the
It's-
best.
it
It's
is.
basically
It's-
a different game.
Yeah, it is. Well, that's the thing. I think, in my opinion, it is Catan enough that people who like Catan will like it and see familiar things in it. But it's also not Catan enough for the people who don't really care for Catan can enjoy it.
I will say, I don't like to call them even the same kind of game because you're right, there are mechanics that overlap, but it is so different.
There's-
and it
there's
is such a
trading.
different
All
experience.
rolling
All the
dice.
mechanics from Catan are in it,
Yes.
right? It's just that then it has way more. But like
Correct.
it is clearly all the Catan bones.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So one of the biggest perks I like about it is, so normally you could be playing Catan and you could be on, I'm on the 6, the 8, and the 9, so I should be getting all types of resources, and then those resources nobody rolls them for some reason. 3s and 4s and 10s are being rolled, and nobody is rolling, and you're just kind of screwed. There's nothing you can do. In Starfarers, at the beginning, until you actually start being able to build your own cities
and
and
stuff,
civilizations and whatnot, you're getting like basic stuff incoming. Like you're always getting resources for free until you earn enough points to where you're out of the beginning stage, and then you have to rely on your own. Hopefully you've diversified to enough numbers to where no matter what people are rolling, you're getting stuff. I really enjoy that. I don't care for the robber mechanic when people block your thing and they I don't care for that. And this one, it gets rid of that. Yes, you get to take a resource from somebody, but everybody else is still going to get a resource back. So nobody's really out anything, and people are still getting stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it adds the encounters. I love
the
encounters.
encounters.
They're so cool.
Well, yeah, it's insane. It makes it a freaking role-playing game.
Yeah,
like,
because it's like a choose your own adventure thing. Like, okay, you see this guy. Oh, turns out he's a space pirate.
Well,
you
and
know,
it's not
like
just that. So have you seen the ships and everything?
the ships.
So
cool.
you have 3D,
A 3D
ships
ship.
in it that have marbles in it, and when you do a thing, you like
shake it
shake
up.
your up and you land, and marbles fall out, and that tells you like what type of movement or encounter
you get
you
like
can
3
do or
basic
something.
moves, and depending on what color those marbles are, you'll add more moves to it. Or if you get a black one, you get an encounter.
But then your ship has a bunch of holes in it, and you
Yes.
upgrade your ship. You put more engine pieces on.
You
You
can
put
put-
guns on it and stuff.
Yes,
So
you-
you might
you
get
put-
an encounter card that says you encounter pirates. Do you have at least 2 guns on your
Yeah.
ship? If not, you have to run away from the pirates. If so, you can fight the pirates, and that will. And you go down like a
little
tree,
tree, yeah.
of options, and you have these encounters happen as you're upgrading your ship with pieces you're plugging into it. It's insane.
so absolutely fantastic.
Hold up.
So,
Yeah.
exactly.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Are we still talking about Catan?
Yes.
That's why I say that it's not really Catan.
Because that's the thing is, well, you're starting out on these base planets, and they all have numbers. So you're rolling 2 dice. The number rolled produces resources.
mechanic.
Correct. And plus, you can trade resources, right? And then, and part of your stuff when you're doing the moving, I have 2 boosters on here, so I have my standard move plus I get 2 extra moves because whatever upgrades you put on your mothership affects all your other ships as well. So then you're moving out, and you have like these little spaceships that carry your little like landing pods, right? And so you fly them out, and you're discovering little clusters of planets. As you discover them, you flip the numbers over. So, I can go land on this one here because that blue's got a 6 on it, and that red one's got, I don't have any red, so I'm gonna go land on that little intersection right there. Or you can continue to keep moving and find other clusters. And then there's places where you can build like satellites, and you're building like trading with different alien races. And so like whoever has the most of these satellites inside the trade thing gets like the little standee, and that's like 2 victory points, right, for having it. But then you still get like the ability to where you're like, oh, now I can trade instead of doing like a 3-for-1 with the bank, I can do a 2-for-1 of that specific thing because these guys want that good, so they're willing to trade better for it. And it does so much good stuff. It's my favorite Catan. I got the 5 player expansion.
I was shocked when I saw that this
How
wasn't in
low
like
that
the yeah.
Yeah.
I thought this is in the top 500. Like what?
And Catan being like such like, I don't want to say like evergreen because I don't think so, but I think it's very well known. It's very
it is evergreen like Dominion and Pandemic.
Right,
are,
it kind of like started things, right? It kind of
Yes.
primed the pump for all of these
Yes.
other games to follow, and I
Yes.
appreciate that. But I feel like we've moved on, and so people that I think that I really like Catan, tell you what, let's try this version of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna blow
It's-
your mind.
Yeah, because like I said, it's got enough Catan in there to people who like the rolling and the trading that's still there for them. But then people who don't like it, where it's all luck based, it has a little bit of mitigation in there for you, plus the encounters and everything else in there.
It's so good.
By far, I mean, I'm guessing like the price point. It is pricey. It's not super cheap, but it's so worth it because it's such an experience when you play that game. And like plus the board as you're building it, you can kind of mix it up so it's different each time too. Like which Catan you can do also, right? As you put all the tiles and you build it, they're not always going to be in the same spot or have the same numbers on them. So yeah, it's just if you like Catan, and since you like that one so much more, I will try to make it a point to make sure you get a chance to play Starfarers because I think it is the best implementation of Catan there is.
I went in on that.
I mean, I had played several hundred games before I played Catan, and I still loved it.
Yeah.
I still like
just
Catan.
So yeah.
I just to me, like I said, I'd rather do even that version, the
Game of Thrones
version. I would rather play that over
Agreed.
basic.
Yeah, the next step up Catans are better for sure.
Yeah.
So, all right, my number 1 for those who know me at all or put up with me, I should say.
Already know what it is.
My number 1 is ranked 1,520. It is a tactical skirmish game.
Nailed it.
2 to 4 players. I can't 1 to 4 players.
Just shoot yourself.
What a workshop.
Yep.
I hate games that are overproduced.
I know, right?
But
Only when it makes the video more interesting.
when there's a level of complexity and replayability that is there to justify the money, pre-painted minis, they look fantastic. GKR, heavy hitters, giant killer robots.
Yeah.
I love tactical skirmish games.
Yep.
GKR, you spend the first 10 minutes before you even play. You pick your mech, you go through their deck, and you choose your armaments.
Yeah.
So cool. Then, once you've chosen your armaments, that's your deck, but that's also your health. So, as you're taking damage, you're scrapping cards. So, you're drawing less and less cards as you're getting hurt. But you've also got these little drones that you can deploy. Some will help you aim, some will heal you, some are like artillery and stuff like that. So, you can attack the drones. You can attack, your opponents and their mechs. There's you can call in like orbital strikes, like from the sky, and do damage that way. There's energy weapons, projectile weapons, ballistic weapons. So they all like affect different things because you might have a good defense against energy weapons, but it's like I don't know what Bob put in his deck, and so we're going after it. Also, the way the line of sight works is super fun because you can destroy buildings. You can knock down you're tagging buildings. They get knocked down. You also get a bonus if you're like up against 2 buildings and you fire through and they can't shoot you back unless they're right next to it.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of fun little like line of sight things you can do. There's other ways you can win the game. You can gain sponsorships and they Hunger Games style drop you in resupplies and things like that.
The flavor text is so fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best part of the game.
Yeah.
The flavor text
the
is
theme.
insane. It's super thematic. It is
just so good.
$100 game. I
Yep.
get it. It's expensive, but all the components are great.
Yep.
The buildings are really fun. You put them together, and then when they get destroyed, you take off the top half, and it's just the base, and it's just
Crumbly.
rubble. But it's super fun. GKR heavy hitters.
It's a good one.
Anytime anybody wants to play that game, just say, "Hey Tim, you want to play GKR?" Yep. Bloop, let's
It's
go.
already set up.
Yeah. I love it. I've got everything for it. I love those kind of games anyways. And when it did not disappoint when I got the opportunity to get my hands on it and play it. Super fun. GKR, heavy hitters. It deserves to be ranked higher than 1,520.
1,520, you say?
I do.
Well, I see your 1,520, and I raise you 6,467.
Wow.
My number one, most underrated, my actual number one, most rated. Not just like I randomly put it at number one. It is my number one most underrated
None of
game.
mine were random.
I didn't
I
say
made a
anything.
very clear
What?
decision.
Hey, you're interrupting me.
Real defensive.
I didn't say anything. Yeah, real defensive. Came out in 2018 by IW Games and designed by Adam Weiss.
IDW?
IDW. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Is that
yeah,
not
they
what I
gone.
said?
You said
yeah.
IW games.
Oh, really? IDW Games and then salute. Mask of the Red Death.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought you were going to go Planet Defenders.
No.
This
Mask
game's really
of the Red
good.
Death
I should have had it on
came
my
out
list.
of nowhere, and it blew my mind with how good it is. When it's just like it's Clue,
Yeah.
but it's so good. They somehow they were like, let's take the basic idea of like a Clue type of deduction game, and let's just make it amazing. I mean, it's so good. Like
Oh.
I don't even know how to describe it. I might need Tim's help with this. So basically, though, you're a character based on the what is it,
Edgar Allan Poe
Poe
story, yep.
story, Mask of the Red Death, and you're in this like circle room, but you're in this circle room, and they have like different icons and colors assigned to it, right? And you're moving through and you're taking actions and stuff to activate cards from your hand that do things. There are these decks of cards set up that are like times, right? So like 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock, 11:30, stuff like that. And you need to be looking at those because you are trying to eliminate by looking at your hand and other people's hands, like the Clue type of aspect. You're trying to eliminate the times in which the prince, he's a prince, right?
No,
He's a
no,
duke,
death.
It's just death.
It's death.
Okay.
So
that's a different thing.
Because there's
is when you
two
don't wanna be
aspects to
with
this
that,
game.
but-
The first aspect, you're trying to gather all the information
exactly.
you can.
You're trying to get as many time slots as you can, basically.
So that's the first hour and a half of this game.
Right.
The last 10 minutes
is the best thing I've ever played.
is hold on to your, go buy a hat, put it on your head.
Hold
and then
on to it.
Hold on to it. Because now you are trying to program your movement to not be where death is as he moves through this area. So 10:30, he might be in the green room over here. But then at 11 o'clock, he might be over here. So the whole time, you have already programmed your movement. So I know, so you're trying to move around this. So you're like, okay, so green, and then, I need to get. I know he's going to be in red there. So do I move away from him? Well, because I don't know where he's going to be after that, but I know where he's going to be like 2 moves from there.
Right.
So because of all the information you've gathered, so you're trying to program your movement. But the tough part is you're stuck moving in this circle, like with adjacency, where death is popping around like all over the place, and it is so crazy and so difficult to actually survive to the end. But the experience is so good. Who cares?
It's amazing,
right?
I had such a good
This
time.
is not a
with
game
this.
you play to win.
So again, the first 80% of the game is just like a really good clue.
Yeah.
You're just figuring out information. You're playing cards around. You're moving around a board,
Making people show you their cards.
that kind of stuff. Peeking at these decks and doing all this, and then you get to this point where the clock strikes midnight or whatever. The clock gets to the end, and now all of a sudden, okay. Now the real stuff starts. Okay, I need to think about all the information I have, look at all this stuff. Plus, like you said, you can only move like adjacent, like one space at a time, and you have to think like, okay, well, I need to be able to like move and then like move, and you're like programming how many times you can move and which things.
Did you play this with us?
And then and then if you don't know one, you're just like, well, the only one I don't know is 11:30, so I'll go there.
Yeah.
And just see where death appears.
And then you sit there holding on to your hat.
Yeah, and death is just like, I don't have a hat. As everyone is literally dancing around.
And then it's like
death.
dead.
Yeah, and as he appears in your room, you're just knocking those players over as they're being killed. And then everyone's
so
getting
good.
eliminated as the few are still moving around the board and teleporting around death.
And it's like scared to, show the
Yeah.
next card of where he's going. It's so good.
Such
a good experience.
Man, I understand that it was really hard to get for a long time. I think it's still not as hard, but I think it's still hard
just
to get.
looked it up real quick on eBay, like $50.
Yeah, it used to
Worth
be
it.
impossible to get. Like when we first played it, I looked it up, nowhere.
Wow.
And now it's starting to come back. Like you're
I don't know
saying.
that it's getting a reprint, but
Right.
yeah, I think
But
people
like
are
people
letting
people
go.
are
had some
reselling and
things right
stuff.
there.
and-
Yeah, IDW's
Yeah.
gone. At least the game division is.
Right.
Sure.
So yeah.
But a Mask of the Red Death is one of my favorite experiences I've had
it's
just
so
from
good.
how amazingly intense
So
I
much
got.
fun.
And yeah, I won. I made it to the end, which I think made it more intense for me maybe because I was having to go through the intensity the whole time.
Yeah, it's
as
so much
opposed to
fun.
like if you die on the first one, you
Yeah,
sit back.
Yeah.
But for me, it was
not
like
tense at all. I'm already dead.
Yeah.
So much
So
fun.
obviously that might have
So
affected
much
my
fun.
bias and stuff a bit for it, but I just amazing
No.
game. I was really glad that
you were
Jason
having
and them.
you were having a blast
showed us.
before it happened.
Yeah,
so.
okay.
Mike.
My number one. Before I get into it, I think I should mention we just made another 2-hour snoozer of a video.
Well, technically, our first 20 minutes ish were wasted. So.
Oh, sure.
Maybe, I suppose.
Still,
All right,
pushing to.
So I can't match up to the excitement of that most recent exchange whatsoever.
Yeah, you did win that. you
Because
bastard.
I'm pretty sure I'm the only one here that's played this. Some of these guys may have never even heard of this game. When I first got into the hobby, I was a soulless Euro gamer. Just give me a game that has great mechanics and makes me make difficult decisions.
And now you're no longer a Eurogamer.
I am still a Euro gamer
Oh, I was thought you were
because
still soulless.
my favorite designer is Stefan Feld. If you know this
I see.
strategically
I
plays
see.
box up here, which is Bora Bora. This game is still in my top 30. It came out in 2013, and it's still ranked 246. Stefan Feld in 2013 came out with 4 games.
Dang.
Okay.
Led the market.
One of them is Bora Bora that's still ranked 246. Bruges is still ranked 296. It's getting reprinted as Hamburg. Amerigo came out in 2013, and it's still ranked 419. And I think that's why everybody passed up Rialto. It's ranked 1,191, and it's printed by Tasty Minstrel Games. It's getting reprinted, and I got a chance to look at it at Gen Con, and like all my excitement for this game came back. It's going to be called New York City, okay? It has a lot of things working against it. 3 of which are the 3 games I just mentioned, which are all fantastic, okay? Even a couple years before that, he produced 2 of my favorite games of all time, Castles of Burgundy. It's still number 17 after 12 years. Trajan came out in 2011. It's still 108, and it's still one of my favorite games.
I still need to play Trajan.
But Rialto was so ahead of its time, and I've been calling it one of the most underrated games for years.
Wrong list.
And so when we talked about doing this list, this was the first one. I immediately looked up its ranking. I wrote it down at number 1 and said, okay, what else am I adding to this list? And the reason is because it combines mechanics so incredibly well. This is a card drafting game where you also are trying to control influence in different regions. This is the city of Rialto, separated by stretches of water. You're drafting cards. You start by drafting a pile of 6. You leave out piles equal to the number of players plus 1. So after everybody has drafted their pile, you got to draft one more card, which you can either take out of the face-up cards, or you can draft 2 from the deck and give 1 back. So you kind of know what cards people have. Here's where it gets interesting.
Oh,
I was
now?
waiting. I was
You both went for that one.
You play the actions in order. Whoever plays the most cards of that action gets a bonus action.
Okay.
So whoever plays the most cards gets to do an extra thing. So there's also wilds in the deck. So you're like, okay, I really need to do this action, but am I going to use my wild here, or am I going to save it for another action I might need more later? It starts with a track that got very affectionately known by the Feld fans as the Feld track. It is the first player track, but also breaks ties. So if you both bid the same number of cards at the exact same time, whoever's higher on that track breaks the tie. Well, the first action that you do is you play the cards for the track and determine how high up the track you go. Then you're going to play cards for gold. Gold is a resource that you're going to use to buy buildings. Buildings allow you to break the game, and there's 16 different buildings you can buy. They start with level 1s, they work down to level 4, so you pay the gold equal to the level of the building, and it's a special thing you can do. It can be an extra wild in your hand. You can play cards after other people. Instead of having to do it in turn order, you can react to what other people are doing. Then where the area influence comes in is there's a region for every round of play, and it's randomly determined where you start. The last thing that you get to do is you get to place people into that region, and then you get to place a tile adjacent to the current region that determines how much it's worth. The simple fact that you can change how much you score based on the region that you have influence is so fascinating to me. Now, I know it's a loose comparison, but like Ankh allows you to redraw territories. Rialto lets you determine how much they're going to score.
That's cool.
So not only can I
Wait,
put
Rialto or Bora Bora?
Rialto. Not
He's
only
been talking about Rialto this whole time.
I thought Bora Bora was your number.
No, he just
No.
said that was also designed.
I was so
That's cool.
confused.
Yeah, sorry, I had to point it out because it's the same designer, but Rialto.
that's
I was
all-
like,
one of the
I thought
four
he was
he
talking about
released
Bora
this
Bora this whole time, and then he
No,
starts saying
sorry.
Rialto, and I'm like, where are we at?
Okay, so yeah,
That's it.
Rialto.
Tim listens about as well as these two.
It's
do.
being reprinted as New York City.
Well, that's the other thing is that they personally
reprinting has a lot of.
they're
No, they
they're-
all have weird names that's hard to remember.
Yeah, but no, personally, I think that the reprinting with the different names makes it 10 times worse. 'Cause it's like,
It
just
could.
reprint the game.
No, it's clearly
everybody
smarter
likes.
this way. I mean, this is marketing
Well,
genius,
yeah, I mean,
right?
Rialto
Am I going to
would-
buy Rialto or am I going to buy New
The
York City?
things-
Well, no, I'm going to buy the new version of the game I have
Well-
already had for 10 years.
Well, Rialto was printed by Tasty Minstrel Games, so I
And
think
they're
it's
not
out
around
of print
anymore.
now.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know if you can still
Sure.
get it.
That could be a licensing thing too. Get Patrick on it.
But Feld is not out of print. He
No,
can
definitely
re-
not. He can make incredible
And so do
games.
they change the names because they don't have the licensing for the original name, or do they change the names
Yeah,
to
that's
make you buy a
interesting.
different
I would
named
truly
version of the same
think
game?
that a very smart marketing person knew that more people would see New York City on a shelf and look at it
You would
than
think so.
Rialto. No one knows what that is.
And
You know,
the
like
thing
that's
is,
just marketing.
The board's ugly.
I mean, why they
It
name
has
Rialto
my
to begin
least.
with?
It has my least favorite scoring
'cause it
track
came out
of
in
all
2013.
time. It's got like these little street lights, and where you put your marker is in between the street lights. It's a terrible
New York City or Rialto?
scoring track.
Or
it's
Bora Bora?
Rialto. I'm still talking about
So
the
there's
problems
there's
with
street
Rialto.
lights in Rialto.
Yes.
Okay,
Um,
just checking. Because I keep looking at Bora Bora. And I'm
Stop
like,
looking at it.
There's
Stand
not look
lean
like
back.
there's any street lights on that island.
It's an ugly board. It doesn't have very good components. That's probably why I was able to get it for $18. It plays up to 5, which most Felds stop at 4. It plays in 45 minutes to an hour, and most Felds are an hour and a half to 2 hour crunchy Euros. It's easy to play. It has a great blend of mechanics. And I know it's not as exciting as a lot of other mentions here, but mechanically, it's just sound. It plays very well. It makes your brain work. There's a lot of doublethink in when you're going to play your wilds. So I just really appreciate how well designed this game is, and it deserves a reprint. Check out New York City because it looks really pretty. It's got acrylic tiles that you put out that determine your area influence, and I'm just a huge Feld fan, and if I can squeeze one of his games on a list that's underrated, I'm doing it.
Isn't that what we were talking about that at Gen Con when we were walking around, weren't you?
Yeah, I'm like, hey, please, I mentioned that I was going to have Jason's back during the Gen Con preview, and I didn't say how, and that was me just staring at all the Queen games that are made by Feld. There were 4 tables, and they're all Feld games. Like, that's how big of an influence this man has.
Did he do Merlin as well?
He did Merlin. Yeah. He did Carpe Diem. I own like 12 of his games. I still have several that I haven't played. I've really never been let down by any of them. They all stay in my collection because they are mechanically sound games that just really make you think. And that's why I got into this hobby, is I want a game that forces me to make difficult decisions every time I play it. And there's so many different ways to play it that I can make totally different decisions the next game.
Yeah,
and I just really appreciate the genius of this man's design concepts.
Cool.
Well done. Bora Bora is number 1.
Rialto.
I got him. I got him. Got him.
Being
Got him.
reprinted as New York
Got him.
City.
Got me too.
Yeah, I got
So
him. I felt so good.
we got a bunch of honorable mentions.
Not
We do.
Don't we?
Not really.
I got a couple.
I'll start with my jokey one because this is another comparison number thing that just annoys the hell out of me, and also it's just kind of a joke for us. So guys, Magic the Gathering is ranked number 158.
Well,
it's good. 158, honestly, I'd say that's fair. It's a good game.
It's a fair rating.
Pokemon is
Yeah.
2,679.
Could be worse.
Yeah, it could be worse. You know, whatever.
really high.
I don't think Pokemon's a very good game at
oh,
all.
that phone game?
The card game.
And
I know,
then
I've played it.
Yu-Gi-Oh is back at 5,389. I will not stand for this.
You know why?
Because I'm currently sitting and my mic does not stretch that far. But
It's
Well
because
done.
the guy in the show cheats.
Yeah, no, he does cheat, but he has money.
I suppose.
So, but no, I just the fact that Pokemon is ranked like 2,000 higher than Yu-Gi-Oh is insane. Like that is crazy to me. But you know, whatever.
Especially it's a
It's
massive
just,
IP.
it's just kind of a joke. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
the fact that it's that far behind is just
Wow.
crazy to me. But I
That's
mean,
wild to me because
Sure.
as popular as Yu-Gi-Oh is, I would
Sure.
have assumed. Oh, I guess maybe it's because people that play Yu-Gi-Oh may not go to BGG and rank games.
Probably not.
That's probably true. I don't think I've ranked it.
So one of my honorable mentions I want to mention, because this is one of the games that really got me into board games. Like I used to play a lot of games growing up, right? A lot of like Sorry and whatnot. But this game here, released in 1989.
Nice.
Right,
You still haven't
so-
beat me, but that's fine.
Whatever.
And this is this does describe Bob in a lot of ways.
It does. With 11,599 votes. So it's got a lot of votes, but still only at 2,107.
So it's just actually bad.
No, I just think that Cult of the New probably kind of got it pushed out. But this is one of the most fun fun experiences I have when playing this game. Taboo. I don't know if you guys
Yes.
have played Taboo.
Yes, I love that
Yeah,
game.
so you're in teams,
Still
right?
have a copy.
I
And you
did when I
got a
was
card,
younger.
and it's got one word at the top. Then it's got a list of words underneath that you cannot say, and you're trying to get your teammate to guess the word at the top.
Right.
So everybody else is like looking over your shoulder at the other team, trying to make sure you don't say it. And you're trying to come up with all these words, and you're trying to do as many as you can, right, in the amount of time. And they've got a buzzer, which I love, like buzzing on people. So as soon as they say something they're not supposed to, yeah, you buzz them, and they get so flustered, they got to go to the next card, and like. It was just so much fun. I love this. Maybe my passion for word games came because like I love just
Yeah,
that
Taboo is fun.
quick wit, trying to grip through the cards as fast as you can and buzzing everybody when they screw up. Just such a great time. It should be ranked higher than that.
I've been playing Taboo for like decades now. When I started getting back into board games, I was strolling through Goodwill. I saw a copy of Taboo. I'm like,
Yeah.
you are going home with me.
Yeah.
And I've played it dozens of
Yeah.
times since then. It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. So
Oh,
that was one of my honorable
man.
mentions.
It's like
Good
an
pick.
intense categories.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually another one I thought about
The
putting on my
Scattergories.
list
Yeah.
because when I was younger, that was the word game I played the most of. I loved Scattergories.
So the word game I played the most, 1974.
Oh, he beat me.
9,707
It's a lot of
on
votes.
BGG.
Oh, it's a ranking.
I don't know how many. 196 ratings.
Not very many.
Catchphrase.
Oh, okay.
I freaking love catchphase.
There's a lot of versions of
I've
that. That's
played
probably
the
why it's not
digital-
ranked as high. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
I've
like
played
8
that.
versions
Oh,
of it.
sure,
so
sure.
if you combine their scores together,
Yeah.
And average them all together.
Yeah,
Put it out there. No, catchphrase is super fun. While we're just talking about
Yeah.
mass market, like really good party games that get you in.
I mean, that's basically what that new game became. Face up. You know, where you use your phone and you go
Heads
like
up.
this.
Charade.
Heads up. That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
That's basically what catchphrase is now. Is now the words here,
And you're trying to get me
they're
to guess
trying to
it.
get me to
Sure.
guess it by
Yeah,
giving
it's
me
the
hints.
opposite.
Right.
Well, it's like that one from
Inverted.
Inglourious Bastards, right?
Yeah.
Like King Kong.
Yeah, that's face
Oh,
up.
right, right.
If we're still on the
Headbands.
party, we've mentioned like several party games in a
Sure,
row.
sure.
So let me add one that I already had on my list.
A Feld
That's
game?
the Chameleon.
Oh,
Haven't
Now,
played it.
Spyfall is,
I haven't played it, I've watched it.
It plays a lot like Spyfall. Have you guys played that?
I like
Yes, I
Spyfall
love
quite a
Okay,
bit.
Spyfall, you have all those locations. One person doesn't know what location it is,
Right.
all right? But you have to ask questions to people.
Yep.
And what's tricky about Spyfall, I love Spyfall, and I think it's better than the Chameleon, but it can be hard. You really got to be creative.
it's really
to
hard.
Play
It's really
Spyfall.
intimidating to teach new players.
It
Like
is.
they're like, I don't know what to do, and you're just like, just ask a question. And
Right.
They're just like, I don't know what to ask.
It's
And-
so freeform.
Yeah.
So the Chameleon solves this. It came out in 2017. It's ranked 1,971 by Big Potato Games. And this was actually a UK Games Expo winner that year. It solves that whole I don't know what question to come up with thing. And the way it does it is you've got, there's multiple, instead of locations, they just pick a theme. And that theme can be movies. And literally it'll just be a grid of movies. All you have to do is just come up with one word. So, like, you got all these movies. Anybody can think of a word that, reminds you of a movie.
Yeah.
So the Chameleon has a chance in this game. Even if you're the first person that has to guess,
Right.
like that. in
Because when you're
Spyfall,
first and you're the spy, you're like,
hosed. You have no idea
Yeah.
what question to ask. I mean, you
Correct.
could get very generic, but even when you ask a generic question in Spyfall, people are going to accuse you.
It's him.
The Chameleon kind of solves that issue, and I've had a lot of fun with it. I've played this game like over 50 times. It's a solid party game.
Yeah.
Well, I love though that you wrote re-implementation of Spyfall and not as good.
Well,
I
yeah.
just love that sentence.
Well, it's not. Spyfall is a better game, but
Yeah.
you can't get it played as often because of that barrier to entry. But the thing I found that was crazy is they're so similar. I had to look up if they're re-implementations because I assumed it was.
Got you.
And it's
So
not.
it's funny though, because I was going to say we should all do our honorable mentions like relatively quickly without going into as much depth. You literally just went into Chameleon,
Sure.
not as long as you went into Bora Bora, but almost.
That's it for me though.
Just
All
gonna
my
keep
other
going.
ones are no wait.
Yeah.
I guess you didn't mention this one, so I have to mention mind management as
Yeah, that dude.
That blew my
I thought-
Too new.
I thought it was
No,
2021.
2021.
Yeah.
Too new to me.
Sure, that's fine. I just
It was
that's not what
my
you said.
it was my number 2 game of last year, but I was staying off of games from
So
none of my
last
games
year
were
was
2021.
20
Okay, well you didn't say that.
Okay.
No, I
Right.
did at the top of the show. I said I have nothing before
We didn't
2021.
listen to you either.
Oh no, sorry.
Sure.
I meant the message that you said 2022. That's all. I was
Oh, well,
thinking.
yeah, but then I set my own personal
Sure,
thing
sure,
of.
sure.
Got you.
Sure, I
Because
did the same thing.
I feel like, honestly, mind management will see more people. It will
100%.
get rated higher
going up from
as
there.
as
Yeah.
it will go. So I left it alone.
And then the only other
But I
one,
do appreciate the mind management love.
Yeah,
Totally underrated at the moment.
Yep.
And then the only other thing I've written down is I really want to get like a Deckscape on here, and it just
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
make it.
They are
but
underrated.
but like they're all like not they deserve way more love than what they currently have.
for sure.
For sure.
Deckscapes are Escape Room in a Box by DV Games.
Yep.
Yep.
I can throw out a
Reusable, so you can give them
couple
away.
quick cuts here. On Tour. That's ranked
Yeah,
1,062.
I didn't
Okay.
write it down because I thought somebody would.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one quite a bit. It's a roll and write, and you're
Again, a
kind
roll
of
and write. Right,
drawing a number map around the United States. I enjoyed that one quite a
Because
bit.
you're on tour.
Blank Slate.
This blew my mind. I thought this was a brand new game.
Blank Slate
Isn't it?
came out in 2018, and it's ranked 4,272.
Oh my gosh, criminal.
Again, I thought that was going to be on somebody else's list, so I didn't write
Yeah.
it down.
I thought it
should've.
was brand new. I didn't even look it up.
I'm
I
like,
never
oh,
seen-
Dan or Bob will have blank slate.
I didn't even notice the release date. I just kind of kept going.
Blank Slate.
Not that the release date mattered to you.
It
And-
did.
That's so stupid.
Jeez. And then Saboteur came out in 2004.
It's okay.
It's Amigo, ranked 1226. I've had fun with that game. I
Yeah.
bought the newer version that's a 2v2 at Gen Con from the Amigo booth. So
I got a
wanna play that.
2016 game that only had 114 votes, right? So I wanted to bring more attention to it because I think it should be rated higher than 8,962.
Oh my goodness.
Rescue Polar Bears.
Oh, that's a
yeah.
really good
It's a
game.
fun game. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
That's
got
also
cool
really hard to
components.
find,
It's
though,
kind of
isn't
hard
it?
to find.
Yeah,
Not terribly.
Yeah, it wasn't.
now.
It's gotten
Maybe not
easier.
now.
But
Okay.
yeah, initially it was definitely
Because there
hard.
was a
'cause
time in the past I wanted to get it for my mom.
It's
Yeah.
a European release, and it was tough to get over in the States.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
European was it Asia? I thought it was. It didn't have like a bunch of like Chinese.
That's all
Europe.
No, I don't
European.
think so.
We're American, Bob.
I don't think
It's all over there.
It's so
I don't think
stupid.
so.
It is.
Um,
Those are my honorable mentions. You guys already mentioned the other ones.
So another Joey Vigor game, Chaosmos, ranked 3078. A really neat sort of deduction game as you were also going around and laying traps on different planets. Endangered from Grand Gamers Guild, 1831. A very difficult co-op, super fun.
Yep.
The theme is very strong. The Thing, Infection Outpost 31, ranked 1,997.
That was on my Tim list.
Should be rated way higher. This game is fantastic and was really hard to get. The op got the rights to the reprint.
It's out now.
Reprint looks really good, very easy to get now. Fantastic game. Escape from Aliens in Outer Space,
That was one.
1,126.
I thought someone would
Didn't
mention
make
it.
my short list. I had it on my long list.
Another sort of social deduction game. You're calling out your movement. You're not sure who's on your team or not. It's so good. 1,072, The Insider. When you said Chameleon, it made me think of that because isn't Chameleon in like a small little box? Like The Insider comes in like a real
good
small
size.
box.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Chameleon's more like a.
Yeah, it's
longer
the weird
secret
green and
growler
yellow
size.
box.
Yeah.
that- green and yellow box
Insider
that
comes in like a real small box. Basically, one person knows the word and everybody else is going around and trying to guess the word, except the insider is amongst
Already
them.
knows the word.
Already knows the word, and so they're asking the question
Questions.
to try to get everybody to
and it's
guess
weird
it.
because they're still playing the cooperative game, but then they lose if they
Yeah,
get found
if
out. It's
everybody-
very weird.
Yeah, I love it. It's such a weird twist. I thought for sure Dan would have this one on his list. Blockbuster. It's rated 3,746. It is one of my favorite movie trivia style games.
While that's true, I would just say that, and I just played it the other day with my whole family. We actually went through every single card in the game because we were just pulling them and going as fast as we could.
Chucking them on the floor.
But
as well.
actually, my brother was, yes, and I made him pick
Zach
all of them
sounds
up.
like it.
Josh, no.
Oh,
no.
Josh?
He was just like, oh, being crazy. But yeah, he went to the Mike School of Arm Training.
Communication.
But my
We just
thing
lowered
is,
tuition.
I enjoy Blockbuster, and I agree that as far as movie trivia goes, it's one of my favorite, if not my favorite. But also, if someone said there's 3,000 games better than Blockbuster, I'd be like, I don't know if I can
see
argue
that.
that. Like, that's all I'm saying.
Dan, the number 2 party game of all time. Do you know what it is?
Number 2 party game of all time. Just one is number
Just one is number 2.
Yeah. Oh, really?
You know what number 1 is?
No.
It's Mike's fault. It's the crypto. I think just one's better.
I agree.
Really?
Underrated. It should be
It's
number
underrated
one.
now.
and
It's
not
underrated
number
now
two.
because it should be number 1.
Giant crypto.
I was hoping you were going to say that. I was like, okay, Dan, take the bait, take the bait, take the bait. The last one that I would honorably mention is a game that gets a lot of hate, especially from me because of what Simon did, where they said, we are
yeah.
only release this game
On
if you back the
Kickstarter.
Kickstarter. Then they made
Oh.
a deal with Mini Market, and now they sell Hate. Hate is a really good tactical miniatures game where you can
Cool-
play this
cool mini.
crazy campaign style, fantastic miniatures.
Awesome art.
The theme will throw people off like big time because it is dark.
yeah. It's
but
like 18 plus, I think, is what it said on the agent.
Yeah,
just because of the way the
it's-
art is and it's so gory.
yeah, I
and
mean you're literally fighting off rival tribes and then eating them.
eating them.
But
Well,
you-
that's how you get their strength.
yeah, well you do you literally you level
Duh.
up in between battles depending on what you've done and like how much pillaging and stuff you've done. So anyways, Hate really fun, super good game, but I get it. But probably should be ranked a little higher because it's mechanically very sound and easy to learn as well.
Cool.
So let's just run through our top 10s, top to bottom, real
Sure.
quick.
Oh, well.
Just to recap.
all right. So, we do all of them or do 10, 9, 8, 9?
Just 10 through 1.
All right. So, Artemis Project, Evil High Priest, Venice, Gorinto, After the Empire, Korra, Rise of an Empire, Gore Chosen, Axis and Allies, Spring 1942, War Room, and Catan Starfarers.
So I've got Campaign Manager 2008, Growl. Gosh, Growl's so good. My number 8 is Court of the Dead, Mourner's Call, My number 7 is Judge Dredd, Helter Skelter, a Wildlands game. Number 6 is Last Friday. Number 5 is The Terror Below. Number 4, Seven Bridges. Should have been 7. Number 3, Dungeon Fighter. Number 2, Dead Man's Draw. And number 1, GKR, Heavy Hitters.
For Dan, number 10 is Chopper Strike. Number 9 is Arctic Scavengers. I do have the one that comes with both expansions. Number 8 is Sonar. Number 7 is Home Stretch. Number 6 is Shin or Chin. Number 5, I have to scroll around. Number 5 is Into the Echo Side. Number 4 is U-Boot, the board game. Number 3 is Court of the Dead, Mourner's Call. Number 2 is Wolves of Mercia. And number 1 is Mask of the Red Death.
Oh, good list.
It's funny as I counted mine like this, but it should have gone the other way.
Was Court of the Dead the only crossover?
Crossover.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Other than
Okay.
when he crossed off into the Echo Side, yeah.
Yeah, well, because I had mine first, and you
Well-
said something earlier. I was like, oh my gosh, how did I miss that?
And
That's why
I crossed off Starfarers of Catan.
So my number 10, Dark Moon, Vanuatu, Lost Cities Rivals, Ponzi Scheme, Dice Miner, Galapagos, Sons of Anarchy, A Game of Thrones, Catan, Rival Restaurants,
Bora
and my number
Bora.
1 was what, Tim?
Bora Bora!
No, it's Rialto.
It's New York!
And it's getting reprinted in
Will be.
New York City. It'll be out this year.
Awesome list, guys. Good job.
Good job.
Hopefully, we will drive our editor crazy with the amount
That
of
is
photographs.
rough.
he's got to look
because
a lot of stuff up.
He's got to find
Sorry,
39 different games.
That is rough, dude.
I love it. I love it.
I'll send you some
You're going to send them games? Guys,
pictures.
please, obviously, these lists are all subjective, right? We're all just picking things.
except
that
for
we
mine
think-
was mostly fact.
Oh,
Right.
sure. Mostly. Mostly fact.
Alternative fact.
But please hop on and tell us what some of your underrated games are. You don't even have to use the same rules that we did. Let's just have a conversation about it, right? Just so jump in, tell us what you think is underrated, underhyped, what games need love and attention. Honestly, if you point out some great ones to us that we either haven't heard of or like, oh, we haven't done a review of that, we should talk about it. Like,
Yeah.
that's a great excuse for us to look at some games because we don't just review new games. I mean, we like all kinds of games, and sometimes doing a review is just an excuse to
Talk about
spotlight
it,
a
yeah.
game that we love and want to give some attention to. So please take advantage of that and join us on the Discord, like, subscribe, all that in. If you were sleeping, now's the time to wake up.
Wake up. Wake up.
Pick a different one of our 2-hour plus
Grab a
videos,
push-up
and
pose,
then you
wake up.
can go back to sleep. So thank you guys for watching. I loved doing this list. I was very
was fun.
excited. And for the Board Game Rundown, I've been Tim.
Bob.
I was Mike.
Dan.
And Bora Bora is not Rialto. Full
Correct.
disclosure. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for checking out the Board Game Rundown. If you like what you saw, like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Share our videos on social media and spread the word. We publish new content weekly, including reviews, unboxing, and Let's Plays. And as always, thanks for watching.